Each ALMS season carries the promise of exotic locations, faithful fans, and of course, champions. Today on the stylish streets of Miami, we'll deliver just that. 4 classes, 4 champions. The GT division has already won, but the race for the other 3 is still very much on.
Miami's going to be hot.
It's going to be absolutely insane.
A bar fight that's total chaos. You cannot afford to make a mistake here.
It's bumpy, it's narrow, you can't pass anybody anywhere.
It's a real difficult track.
Keep it off the walls, mainly.
We do have the championship in mind.
As far as race venues are concerned, it doesn't get much better than this. For only the 6th time in the history of the American Le Mans Series, the championship that boasts European style with American attitude will race on the streets. Today, beautiful downtown Miami plays host to the Grand Prix Americas. And what a crucial round it is for the 4 respective championships. The 900 class can be wrapped up today. The 675 class will go all the way to the wire at Petit Le Mans. The GTS can be clinched today, and we congratulate Sasha Masson and Lucas Luhr. They are already GT class champions. Hello everyone, I'm Lee Diffie along with Bill Adam. Welcome to the penultimate round of the 2003 American Le Mans Series here on the streets of Miami. Bill, the cars are beginning to roll now. Let's get straight to it. Talk us through the Porsche keys to this race.
Well, besides the heat and humidity here, which are awesome, the number one thing is the track. It is very, very narrow around here. Makes a huge difficulty in passing almost any of the few places you get. But bigger than that, look at the bumps. There is the worst bump any of us have ever seen on any racetrack at any time. The car's literally launching the salts right off the pavement, and even the Audis, normally unbreakable, are having pieces crack. They have never found this problem before. They tried to grade it last night. They only got marginal increase in that. So it's still a huge problem for everybody.
Street courses, and particularly this one, can bite, and it already has. Yesterday, it took a big chunk out of one of our 675 competitors. With more on that, here's Calvin Fish.
Lead for LMP 675 championship contender John Field. His title hopes were dealt a severe blow here yesterday in qualifying as he negotiated the turn 8 turn, smacked the wall hard, ricocheted back across the track, major damage to that little MG Lola. Now the team has literally worked all night, 24 hours straight, to get this car on the grid. He will start from pit lane. Biggest concern is they couldn't find the correct radiator. Borrowed one from Panos. It's a little bit smaller. High ambient temperatures today and a turbocharged motor. Will it last the distance? That's the question.
Well, big question there, but fantastic to see them on the grid. The cars are rolling. Speaking of the grid, qualifying yesterday was stunning. Look at these 2 guys in the Audi R8s. Marco Werner looked more like he was in a sprint car, and JJ Leto for Champion Racing put on a great display as well. Now let's meet our respective class pole sitters.
Hi, my name is JJ Lehto and I come from Espoo, Finland. I drive for ADT champion Audi car number 38 and my co-driver is Johnny Herbert.
I'm Butch Leisinger from Reepersburg, Pennsylvania, driver of the number 16 MG Lola. My teammate is the lovely and talented James Weaver.
Hi, my name is David Braddon and I'm from Australia and I drive the ProDrive Ferrari.
Ferrari takes the fight to the Corvettes, but the Drivers' Championship was decided this morning in warm-up when Kelly Collins smacked the wall in the number 4 Corvette at the now infamous bump. Ron Fellows and Johnny O'Connell need only to start to claim the crown, and while the crash was bad news for Corvette, it's good news for Fellows, who's driving with a dislocated shoulder, suffered in a rock climbing accident. Fellows' battle for the Drivers' Championship has been won.
Hi, I'm Sasha Masson from Germany. I'm driving the 23 Porsche with Lucas Luhr.
Lucas and Sasha have the GT Championship already won, and they start here from pole position. But the 24 car is still battling for the runner-up series slot with the 31 White Lightning Porsche, and they start 2nd and 3rd. Game on, guys.
It certainly is game on. The cars are rolling, and this should be a very interesting round for the 2003 American Le Mans Series. We look at the full starting grid now at the top of your screen, but the big talking point this weekend has been the racetrack. Bill, talk us through the finer points.
Well, it's a very narrow track, and that's really the difficulty over this 1.15-mile track. The only good passing spot down here at the end of the long straight. It's high speed down to a low, complete 90-degree lift, but the difficulty comes back up here. That's where the bump is. How do you get good speed over that bump?
Here we go, the Grand Prix Americas for 2003. It's only the 2nd time on the streets of Miami for the ALMS Series, and we are away. Great start from pole man JJ Leto. In behind him, Marco Werner, the 2 Dyson LMP 675s. Then it's David Salins just ahead of Mike Lewis.
And I think really right now you're going to watch trying the first 2 cars will try and get away as cleanly as possible. JJ got the immediate jump off the start. It is critical because I think, oh, there's a 37 car there trying to start.
Starting from pit
Here he
lane.
goes. All right, the field has gone by. He now can start in the back of the pack. And even though he may be out of the picture, remember the durability, I think, today is going to be absolutely critical. This is a car breaker.
2 hours, 45 minutes. This is going to be such hard work for these guys. High humidity, as always, in Miami. High temperatures, a lot of sunlight, direct sunlight. This is going to be brutal on these guys this afternoon.
Talking to JJ Leto, he was telling me the fellows in the champion car have been changing all of the suspension mounting brackets before the start of the race today. They've never changed those before, but they're finding cracks in them. These are pieces normally indestructible. The pounding over that bump is enormous. We've seen some cars 12 inches of air underneath the wheels, so huge impact.
This is a huge battle of egos here between these two teams. You've got one team fighting for survival, and that's the ADT champion team out in front at the hands of JJ Leto. Marco Werner was desperately disappointed yesterday that he got pipped for pole right at the last second, and he got pipped for pole when John Field's car literally exploded in front of him yesterday late in that session. And these guys have just left everyone behind. That's a graphic illustration of the LMP 900 cars versus the 675s that have taken the fight. Look at that.
Man, that's unbelievable. After just a couple of laps, look at the lead. That looks like James Weaver, I think, or Bush Leitzig actually driving that car. But that is the Dyson car back in third place. And the two Audis already, they're catching up to a car. They're going to be lapping traffic on the third lap.
Beautiful shot around the fountain, and Werner will be looking for a way by. They get past the, is that the panels car? Yeah, it's the panels.
Can't really tell. I think you're right.
Car.
You know, something that surprises me right now, Lee, is how much Marco Werner is pushing. They have the championship to win today, and yet I thought that Yost might play a bit of a waiting game. There's bound to be yellow flags here, so why not maybe hang back and just save your car? But Werner right now perhaps is trying to push JJ into a mistake.
Here's the bump.
Yeah, look at this, just coming up right there. God, that's brutal. Normally the Audi is so good over these bumps. Just coming up to pass, that's the junkyard dog right there. What a great job by their crew. Amazing work.
John Field got a bit of a shiner on his left cheek yesterday after that impact, and his back was a little sore, but other than that, he got away. He was a very, very lucky man to do so. Through round, turns 3, 4, and 5 out of the fountain. The short shoot up to 6, one of the few passing opportunities on this track.
Lee, when they get to that jump, I just spoke to Johnny Herbert. He said the problem with the jump is we have power assist steering on this Audi, and when it hits the jump, it's like it tells the car it doesn't need any assist, and momentarily locks up the opponent straight at the wall. He said you have to get the car set early, and I'm also surprised that Yost are pushing. They told me they'd be happy with second today, Phil.
Yeah, you know, it's almost a case of ego right now because Marco Werner all season long, he's won all of our hearts. The guy is just a furious racer. He is absolutely remarkable to watch. Every time we see him in qualifying, yesterday was no exception, gets the bit between his teeth, pushes so hard. He is really close up on the tail of JJ Leto right now.
Fantastic opening stanza here between the two LMP 900s, the Audi R8s. It's JJ Leto who leads ahead of Marco Werner, and the first couple of laps were sub 50-second laps. They've dropped a little now as they come through the traffic, but blistering pace at the beginning of this 2 3/4 hour race. We go back to GTS land. Second place, Ron Fellows, and as you heard Brian mention earlier, he's driving with an injured shoulder, and when he arrived earlier this weekend with his arm in a sling, everyone said, what is going on? And Ron is doing a good job, and again, to reiterate that point that these guys have clinched the GTS driver's title.
Now, the other thing, Lee, is not only is this racetrack so hard on the cars, but you talk about a dislocated shoulder for Ron Fellows. He cannot raise his elbow even to shoulder height, so it's the correction that's the problem. Mostly left-handers around this racetrack, but if the car gets loose and he needs to counter steer, he can't do that. He's actually wearing a restraining strap that holds his elbow down so that he can't lift it and do any further damage to it. It may require surgery after the end of the season.
We ride looking at the Pro Drive Ferrari up ahead. Darren Turner is in fact leading the GTS class. We take a look now, we go on board the Orbit Porsche 43 machine. Mark Lee, the sensational young German. This is his final, sadly, it's his final ALMS race of the year. He's got other commitments in Europe. He currently leads the Porsche Cup, the International Porsche Cup. He's had a stunning year and he's taking the fight to the Alex Joe Porsches.
A lot of aggravation
position yesterday with Mark Lieb and Johnny Modem. They finished up having a bit of a pushing and shoving match, but Johnny Modem finished up in the wall, and you notice that 31 car now has dropped back to 4th place, and that is the car that is battling for 2nd place, the vice championship, if you will, in the GT series. So a lot of nasty words, press releases about that.
Huge traffic jam, and Robin Liddell for PK Sport is right in the middle of it. That's up at turn 6, one of the key overtaking points on this circuit. And Robin gets away with it, but a couple of the races group Porsches were right in the middle of it.
Yeah, you can see as he comes in here, look, there's just a huge traffic jam, and up the inside, the BMW just barely taps him, but that's enough to put Robin back around. Very little damage on the car at this point. That's quite good.
Bill Auckland in the BMW on the inside of him, teaming with Nick Johnson today. Now look at this, here comes the races group Porsche, the Semco Ferrari. That was a sticky situation, but they got away with it. Now Auckland has a flat front.
That's exactly, when he tagged the BMW, he must have sliced the sidewall of that tire, so he's gonna have to make a pit stop. Bill Auckland will be coming in the pits. Oh, it's smoking away, it's going down. It's not gonna damage the wheel though, so I think it's fairly simple. He should be able to get away with that very light impact.
This is the Allegra Motorsports BMW, Carlos de Quesada, who runs this team, and paired Johnson and Bill Auckland together. And these guys have been enjoying this car. They had a little bit of prep work as well from Tom Milner at PTG. And they were very, very fast in the wet earlier this weekend. So as Auckland limps back to pit lane, he's there now and will get assistance. Meanwhile up front, JJ Lehto continues to lead. He is holding off Marco Werner here on the streets of Miami. We have just got underway. And there is that battle. Werner relentless on JJ Lehto with the ADT champion Audi. Big weekend for champion. They're trying to hang on for the title chase. And this is their home race. Based in Pompano Beach, not too far up the highway. They're looking for their 3rd victory of the season. Will they get it? We'll find out in a few hours' time. Channel's coverage of Grand Prix Americas is brought to you by Porsche for the pure sport of driving. Welcome back to the streets of Miami. This is the Grand Prix Americas, 2nd last round of the American Le Mans Series of the year. We ride with JJ Lehto, race leader. He has a 1.2-second margin over Germany's Marco Werner in the Yost Audi. They are looking to clinch the title today. They're hoping for some bad luck for this team, but so far this weekend, the champion squad have been very strong.
Still a lot of surprise here right now that Werner continues to push so hard, and JJ is running right now lap times to 49-second range. Think about the fact he qualified to 47, so he is not that far off the pace now. He's really being forced to run a much harder pace than I think he would want to.
Well, one of the highlights of the opening stages of this race was just how hard Marco Werner was pushing. Let's find out more from the Yost camp. Here's Calvin.
We're down here in the pit box, and Frank Beal is trying to catch some shade watching the monitor. Are you surprised how hard Marco is pushing early on? I mean, you have a championship on the line. You can't afford mistakes today.
Yeah, sure. I mean, he has to push. I mean, we're still here to race. The thing is, in traffic, maybe he's a little bit more careful than JJ is. That's why sometimes JJ is pulling a little bit away. But of course, he has to try to keep in touch. That's part of the game.
You won Le Mans so many times, but you haven't clinched this ALMS championship. You're defending champion here in Miami. What would it mean to you, Frank, to clinch the championship this year?
Of course, it would be a great thing. I mean, we have to have in mind that we have to finish the races. This one and then the last one in Atlanta. But of course, as soon as you are in the car, you think about winning a race. So that makes it a little bit dangerous, but we will see. I think we are clever. I hope we are clever enough.
Okay, we hope so too. Certainly great to see the boys out there racing, Lee.
Yeah, it is right from the get-go, and here they are, stuck together like glue again, around the fountain, and the short shoot down to 6. It's so tight here, Bill, and they have to execute these moves with such precision to get through the traffic.
Yeah, the one thing to go back to what Yost was saying was the fact that they don't want to lose touch. Well, the chances of this race going through without a yellow flag, I think, are almost unthinkable. There is bound to be yellow that even if Marco were to drop 15 seconds back behind a yellow, you're going to close that right up immediately. So that really doesn't make sense. Look at this traffic. Gosh, it is just unbelievable around here.
And have a look at this. We've played with some figures, and this is what it would equate to. So 36 cars around this circuit, would equate to 74 cars at the Indy 500, 249 at Le Mans, and 119 at Road America. You can see the other figures there. That just highlights just how tricky it really is here on the streets of Miami.
Yeah, it really is like a true street race, because it's something similar to trying to race home in rush hour traffic. It's just furious. And all 4 different classes. Oh boy, I thought he was going to get pinched right there. That was so close.
2 Germans together, Mark Lieb and Marco Werner, and Lieb is doing Werner no favors whatsoever.
One of the difficulties here, you see, look at how different. Just immediately gets caught by 1 car, and suddenly there's probably going to be a gap of a couple of seconds when he hits start-finish line. I'll let you know when we get time to get scoring up. It can happen that fast. If you get blocked in the wrong place in the track, you're literally dead in the water for a few seconds. 2.2 seconds, so it went from 0.3 of a second to 2.2 because of 1 car.
JJ says thanks, Mark Lieb, and Werner was furious, absolutely furious. From the prototype 900 class to GTS, and the way that stands at the moment, Darren Turner, in his first ever street race, leads this category ahead of teammate Peter Cox. Running 3rd in GTS is the Ferrari of Ron Fellows. Sadly, if you've joined us late, we only have 1 Corvette in the race today. The reason why, the man sitting with Bill and I, Kelly Collins, had a pretty heavy impact this morning coming onto the start-finish straight. Kelly, firstly, are you okay? And sorry to see you out of the race.
To be here, I'm really sorry to be out of the race right now. It just hurts sitting up here right now watching this and seeing the car with Ron, but we're here to root for our teammates, and hopefully they can pull off a victory here, and I'm doing all right.
It has to be particularly frustrating for you, though, because you guys were still so close to the championship. You realistically had a shot.
Yeah, no, we really did realistically have a shot. We had the Pat Miller guys, all the engineers, really set up our car good. We were quick, all day yesterday, and this morning we had a really good time. The new bump on the bump that's on the racetrack. They tried to set it off last night, and it got worse. And I was trying different lines for this morning, and the car got lift and took air and hit the inside wall, and then it crashed really hard in the outside wall. So it's really unfortunate.
Romeo Capudia running into troubles there in the Zip Racing Porsche. He's teamed with Andy Lally and Spencer Pumpelly here today. Those guys standing by to take over their shot. Meanwhile, up front, David Salins has moved into 3rd overall ahead of the 2 Dyson 675's race leader. JJ Lato going from strength to strength. His lead margin has been cut by a couple of tenths. We continue to talk about GTS. We've got Kelly Collins from Corvette Racing with us. You mentioned about how the championship chase is over for you now. You've really got to defend for 2nd, because if Bradley wins here today, that's going to make it time.
There's no doubt about that. We never want to get in a position where we're like running for to save the position of 2nd place in the championship, and now we have to do that. Just like you guys said, with those stats that we had with how many cars are on the racetrack, anything can happen. There's 2.5 hours left in this race, and you just never know who's going to finish.
Yeah, you see that Ferrari bounce over that bumper.
It's brutal, and it's funny.
Yeah, just a second ago, actually, Kelly, pardon me for interrupting. Just a second, we heard the 88 Ferrari actually tag the wall a little bit. I think we're going to have a replay here. Just watch as he's coming through.
That's exactly what I did. That's exactly what I did, but that's in another part of the track, but it's about 50 miles an hour slower than where they're approaching me now.
Wow,
same deal.
Rebounded over the outside.
And that will come to hurt him later on in the race, because you never know if he got a wheel, and that's going to be a wheel variant, tires going to go down, whatever. So he just runs, waiting patiently. There's no way to really pass these cars right now, but traffic could prevail. And also, the walls and what have you. They're just not forgiving.
The rules for the ALMS look like they're pretty well matched, because the battles that we've seen the last few races between the Ferrari and the Corvette have been some of the best in the last couple of years.
I'm telling you, we really encourage those guys. I mean, they justify our existence as well there. And, it's becoming a very good rivalry. We've had some fender banging and stuff like that, but nobody's ready to come to blows. But it's getting pretty wild.
It's not the first time this weekend that the Dutchman Peter Cox has been in trouble. There is the BMW. That's
Carlos de Quesada.
That's his car. Yeah, Bluestein's in behind the wheel at the moment and is not very happy at all. So yet to see our first caution here on the streets of Miami. Is that coming up? We'll find out. We're expected to have quite a few yellows today, but we haven't seen a single one at the moment. Let's take a look at the GTS leaderboard as we go to a brief commercial break here on Speed. You're live from the streets of Miami. Stay with us. Biscayne Bay is the place to be today, that's for sure. What a beautiful location just to hang out or for a motor race, and that's where we are right here, right now. For the second last round of the American Le Mans Series this year, Grand Prix Americas, and I asked the question before the commercial break, it's been answered. We are now under our first full course caution. It is because of car 41, Ross Bluestein, and they help him get started again. We've seen both of the Carlos de Quesada BMWs in a little bit of trouble already today. Some fluid coming from the car. And as that car gets helped and gets wound back up, a big announcement recently involving Semco Racing and their plans for 2004. It's exciting stuff.
Well, we're here today to announce that for the 2004 American Le Mans Series, Semco Motorsports will be racing the Saleen S7R, and we will be racing in the entire series, GTS class. We'll be working with Steve Saleen and his folks to help develop this car and make it a very, very competitive package. And what appears to be developing is the premier class for the American Le Mans Series, which is GTS.
This is very good news for us. Laguna Seca has always been, I think, a premier event for us to announce. We actually debuted our first street car at this event, and we had our first race car, and now having Jeff and his team announce that they're going to campaign a Saleen S7R next year in the American Le Mans Series is absolutely wonderful news.
That's one of the early pieces of news regarding 2004. Bill, let's look at some more. Talk us through.
Yeah, pretty remarkable. We've got Lamborghini coming in the GTS class. We have factory Ferrari. This is a full factory effort with the 575, and ProDrive may be switching over to Aston Martin this year. The Saleen, of course, the Corvette C6 will make its debut after Le Mans. They're going to run the present cars up until then. And Ferrari GT will be getting a much more serious effort to try and run up against the very successful Porsche GT3Rs.
In 900, 675, the American Spirit team moving to 675s with two cars. John Field will move up to join his son in the 900s. And Team Buckingham are doing what Lammers did with his car, with that checkerboard design and a unique sponsorship opportunity. You can check out more at teambuckingham.com regarding that. Plenty of rumors around, as well as the new R9 Audi coming. We'll wait and see. We are working our way back towards green. When we return, we'll go racing. It's a huge weekend in motorsport, and especially right here on Speed Channel, coming up tomorrow live at 1:30 p.m. Eastern, the US Formula One Grand Prix. Kimi Räikkönen clinched pole position earlier this afternoon. He gets the #1 starting spot. Who will win tomorrow's USGP? Welcome back. You've come back at the right time. We have just gone green, and JJ Lehto continues to lead the way. There he is, our race leader, pole sitter. He edged Marco Werner by 0.04 of a second in qualifying to snatch pole, and they desperately want to get another race victory to stay in this championship hunt. While we ride with JJ Lehto, let's enjoy the sounds of speed.
out here? This is destroying.
I'll tell you what, this is tearing me up. I mean, I'm just watching this and how much I want to be out there right now. And that right there, I can tell Ron that those Ferraris just got away by about 50 yards. And, you know, that takes about 2 or 3 laps of reeling back in unless they have bad traffic. And sometimes it goes your way and sometimes it goes their way.
Talk about reel them in. Where do you think you can reel in these cars?
Okay, from this point on right here, this left-hander around the fountain, and then turn 6 all the way back to start finish and over the bump is the best spots. Under braking, they're strong in turn 1, and you know, they got really good acceleration. They're pushing hard. This is the kind of traffic that you always have to negotiate, especially on a street circuit like this. So it's not just, you know, how quickly you can get around the racetrack, but wow, look at what you're doing right here. I mean, they're putting a lap on another GTS car, which is going to be just as strong down the straightaway, and then Ron's like, damn, they got away a little bit.
Yeah.
He can see ahead that the Ferrari's got some traffic as well. So, and there they go. He's right back on their gearbox. This, you know, Celine moved over, and maybe he can get, you know, they can have some misfortune up here on the next lap.
It really is. It's incredible right here being able to watch the ebb and flow of what traffic will do. They have a break, and now all of a sudden they're bunched up again.
That's right. So Ron's up there, and he wants to get by. Now that Ferrari's running a defensive line, which will kind of hurt him a little bit. He knows that he's now looking in his mirror, so you want to get him looking in the mirrors, running a line like that. And look at the teammate; they're up there right now, banging on people. And you do that all day long, you're going to cut a tire, or, you know, ruin a wheel bearing or whatever. So you just got to be patient. If we stay right here long enough, when we go over the bump, you'll see the cars going over the bump. So you guys really don't have a straight-on shot of the bump that we're talking about. But we were back there looking at JJ Leto. You can see his helmet filing out, moving back and forth. And right here, this is underneath these trees is pretty wild too, because there's tree sap that comes off. Track is slippery there.
You know, I wonder with the combination of the heat and humidity today and the fact that you really don't get a chance. Well, look at this Mark Lee trying to drive up the inside. Now, why on earth is he going to do that? Because he knows the Corvette's going to blow by him down the straight.
Because it's just it's your thing. It's in your nature. You're a race car driver, and you know if you can counterattack and kind of keep your momentum going. And he has a class that he's racing for. Somebody's on his gearbox, so it's not that much gentleman racing anymore. I mean, you're out there on your own. You're trying to defend everything you got even against a GTS car. You can see just by how Ron lost a little bit of time.
Yeah, it was nice that the Kevin Buckler racing with blue Porsche there. He moved out of the way. That was a bit of driving there.
And these races right now are like the way they are as tight as they are before. It's hard to get by them right now. And one thing you don't want to do is let the gap get too big, and then let's say the leader hits between us and them, and you go yellow to lose a lap. Essentially, your race is all over. Secondly, this is when the pressure is really on the crew, because a lot of the times our races are won or lost by the pit stops.
Right ahead of these guys is number 20 Dyson 675, Andy Wallace behind the wheel. Very important day for them because John Field, we've documented his misfortune this weekend. Field's only 10 points behind them in the championship chase. They came off 2 terrific results, second overall, 2 class wins to turn up at Laguna Seca and have a very disappointing run there. So for Chris Dyson and Andy Wallace, a very important day for those guys today to gain valuable championship points. Andy works his way through the traffic nicely.
I think this is the kind of day that, again, will benefit these two fellas because they've both shown really good patience all season long. And I'm still kind of worried about the longevity of this race and how much of a mechanical problem going. Kind of listen here to the radio. Can't tell whose radio that is.
Here up against the 16 of Butch Leitzinger. This is for outright third. Leitzinger leads the 675 class. And while this is the first time David Salins has been to the streets of Miami, he's had some pretty impressive results at Monaco. He won an F3 race there. He's had 2 poles there. And he picked up his first ALMS podium at Trois-Rivières. So he's adapted to street racing very nicely. Cal, what do you have for us?
Oh, we're down here with James Weaver, Butch's teammate, and James certainly in the thick of the battle there with the painters, but the Audis literally took off at the start. Explain to us why the little 675 car isn't so quick on these street circuits.
Well, I'm not quite sure, mate. Looks like the German motor industry is giving us a thorough pasting, sadly. I think as far as our car's concerned, it's very good on the fast corners, but we still haven't quite figured out how to make it go well on the slow corners. So we have struggled a bit on the slow circuits all year.
And also with the little turbocharged motor, you run a bigger turbo there. Does that create bigger lag when you're coming off the turn?
No, you're absolutely right, Calvin. The Audi's got a bigger motor, relies less on the turbo. We've got exactly the opposite. So we're a little bit worse in traffic, and our power delivery is probably not quite as controllable as theirs.
Okay, well, there you have the answer, boys, and certainly they're looking forward to Petit again. Those fast swooping turns on Road Atlanta. This car should be back into its game.
We're all looking looking forward to Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta, and we would like to thank Corvette Racing's Kelly Collins. Kelly, we'll see you at Petit, and better luck there.
Okay, thank you very much, you guys. Bye,
There
Bill.
he is,
See you later.
Kelly Collins. Time to take a quick break. We'll return. Here's your top 10. You rejoin us live on the streets of Miami. This is the Grand Prix Americas, and a beautiful day here in southern Florida. Plenty of people enjoying it for a variety of reasons, and we're having a great time here as well. So too is this man, JJ Leto. He is the traffic cop. He's the traffic king today. He is whipping through them like you wouldn't believe, and has already established a 5-second lead over Marco Werner after Marco really put the pressure on early. From the 900 class, now let's take a look and bring you up to date with GT. It's being dominated by the Alex Job Porsches, the 23 car of Lucas Luhr, who has never lost a race on a street circuit in the American Le Mans Series.
Man, and once again, watching Lucas just bash over that bump. In fact, talking to him at the first practice session, he was saying he got a headache because the Porsche is bouncing so bad. It's literally bottom of the suspension. It's hitting the frame on the pavement, and he said it gave him a headache.
The sister car is running second, and Mark Lee runs third, but let's go down and check in at the Alex Job pit. Here's Andrew Marion.
Yeah, I'm with Sasha Masson. I'm going to say first, happy birthday tomorrow, 34 years old. The car is going very well indeed.
Now Lucas is doing a great job. He's keeping our car in the lead, and that's all we can ask for at the moment. There's a lot of traffic, and we wait for the next yellow for a pit stop, and then we see.
Any team orders?
Not so far.
And what about fuel? You'll stop halfway. And what about the tyres? Can you go all the way on tyres?
The Michelin tires, they will last the whole race, so that's not a problem. And fuel, we could do it on one stop, but maybe we come in earlier.
Okay, so he's a birthday boy tomorrow. It looks as if he's going to be celebrating, guys.
The most successful driver in the American Le Mans Series. 19 race wins. If he and Lucas do it today, it could be 20. Talk about tyres for a moment, Bill. What's your thoughts? How are they going to gamble? Who's going to last the best? What manufacturer is going to be the best?
The last couple of years, we've seen that the Michelin longevity really has been pretty remarkable. They've been able to stay very, very stable. But I wonder if the bump is going to create any sort of unusual headaches for them. We know how long they'll last in a race, but how many landings are they good for? The Goodyear, they've been very, very good on the Corvette. So the Goodyear have made a very dramatic and very remarkable recovery to be quite competitive with the Michelins on the Ferraris, but on a street circuit this abrasive, I'm really not sure if Goodyears or Pirellis will be able to match the Michelins today.
Chris McMurray is coming under a lot of pressure from the two Alex Job cars. Whilst they're racing for position in class, they're putting the pressure on the 56. You're talking about 13th overall, then you get back to 14th and 15th. These two cars on track, Lucas Luhr, your Bergmeister, the Alex Job cars. The 24 car incidentally had a gearbox problem yesterday, and Alex Job, without pointing the finger too directly, said, "Wouldn't be surprised if it was that damn bump that caused it."
I would bet money it was probably that bump that caused it. It is so difficult. It's so hard on axles, CV joints, and every single part of the car, the shock that it puts through it. Again, 12 inches of clearance under a car. You know what your street car feels like when you go over a big bump? A race car with the tough suspension, it is awfully hard.
Third place car in the GT category is the German Mark Lieb, and he's relishing the opportunity of being back on American soil. He loves coming over here to race, loves the whole environment of the American Le Mans Series, and he is still the points leader with Stefan Ortelli in the FIA NGT Championship, and he could go all the way there this year. He's got 3 more races left on his plate. He may even wrap up the International Porsche Cup as well.
Just to show you how quickly he's going right now, I believe that is Franz Conrad's car right ahead of him. That's the GTS class Salina 7. And because of the tight nature of the track, Mark is actually able to keep the Orbit car right with him. Closing up through this section. This is a very high speed area in through here. This section where Ted Field was crashed. Right up ahead of us, right through here is where he crashed. John Field, sorry, not Ted Field. I think he's back to Daniel Guys. That really shows the age, doesn't it?
I wasn't going to say
senility, setting a nice move there by Mark.
You ride with the Orbit Porsche. Big day for these guys as well. Their home base in Jupiter, Florida, not too far away. impressive. Risi Competizione, Ferrari 360. They're running a new sequential gearbox this weekend. First time they've done that. They've gone from a paddle shift to a traditional box. Now they're running the sequential. And 4 podiums from 7 races this year. Stunning stuff for that car, which is essentially, well, it is. It's a privateer effort from Giuseppe Risi and Ralph Kellernes and Anthony Lazzaro have done a wonderful job.
Yeah, they have. They are both really, really good drivers. I'm actually a little bit surprised that the Ferrari hasn't run stronger down here because it seems to be handling the bumps very well. Back at Three Rivers, the car really showed very, very strongly, but here, something's missing this weekend. They're running the devil out of this car to get fourth place right now.
More than likely, we'll see them campaign this car in the 04 season as well. As we go to break, we'll show you the top 10 for GT. We'll show you a bit more as well. And the gap for the lead up front is down to less than 3 seconds. As Will Smith says, welcome to Miami. What a wonderful shot from above, the Porsche aerial shot. The junkyard dog, John Field, just got into some trouble moments ago while we were in the break. We are under our second full course caution, but that wasn't the reason for the yellow. The 5016 Bucknam Racing pool beam went into the wall. Chris McMurray has stepped from the car. He appears to be okay. Good to see John Field able to turn that car around. Down in turn 9, that's where Chris McMurray's race ended. And probably in more spectacular style, Mark Lieb sent the Orbit Porsche at turn 3 right head-on into the tyre wall.
Yeah, you know what? From where he is setting right now, I think he probably tried to go down the inside of somebody under braking because that's a very straight impact.
Of course, we're sharing the streets of Miami this weekend with the Champ Car World Series. There has been several accidents there in that same place this weekend. Wow. Let's take a look at what happened to bring you up to date to John Field earlier.
And this fairly quick area of S is back where John Field actually had the problem. Actually, let's watch and see, is he going to get tagged? Yes, he does. Yep, he got pushed around. So here's a look from outside. The Olive Garden Ferrari down the inside, just a little tap, and that's, well, actually a little heavier tap. And look at the Yost car getting blocked, and the 16 car. Now it's a wholesale traffic jam down there.
Second Orbit car, and one of the Racers Group Porsches, and look at this, the Asemco and the JMB Ferrari almost coming together, and there's the 43 car. Mark Lieb is out of the car, he's all right. Let's have a look at a replay of what happened to Mark.
Yeah, and I believe this is down at the bottom of our straight. Let's take a look now. Oh, he got pinned.
25 minutes, I think.
Like that hard of a hit.
Calvin?
Well, the leader is in. There was a big question mark at this time of the race whether these guys would come in and give up track position. The window is now open, 2 hours max for any of the drivers, so if you're running a 2-driver team, that only means at 45 it opens it up. So it's jumping out, Johnny Herbert going in, and unless they get a lot of caution, whoa, there's a big fire here! Big moment here. Johnny Herbert is getting back out of the car, I believe. We're trying to see through the smoke here, and that was a scary moment. Now they're probably trying to get back in. And just like last year, it went away from them in the pits. They led here last year, got an air hose tangled, and again, champion having difficulty. Hard to breathe down here.
Remarkably cool. You saw them just take a quick look and assess it. Thought, well, maybe there's not really too much damage, and Johnny is still getting buckled in, but that's got to rattle him.
What a scary place to be
for
Johnny Herbert. Belted in, fully strapped in, and can't go anywhere. Behind, Ron Fellows has brought the 3 Corvette in.
Gregorio, ¿cuánto radio hay aquí?
And they send it. Now, did they change? Is Johnny?
Yeah, I'm sure they would have. I'm
What they did there, Lee, was they actually reconnected the vent hose just to make sure it wasn't stuck open. So that was a good move by the team there, as they disconnected it. That's when the fire happened, and before Johnny took off, they just plugged it in, plugged it back out to make sure it was closed.
That is heads up, Calvin. That's a very good point.
Mañana domingo, el lunes querrá decir. Le falta un poquito en el techo.
They're both so cool about it. No pun intended. And just right back to business.
Well, as we mentioned, right behind where that all took place, Ron Fellows brought the number 3 car in. He's with Brian.
Ron Fellows, obviously it is seriously hot out there, but 45 minutes, you got that in. How's the shoulder?
It's sore, but hey, you're too busy. And this is like Martinsville of sports cars. There's just no break. It's awesome.
The racetrack right now and the traffic that's out there, it just looks phenomenal from in here.
Yeah, it's the difficulty is the corners are so short. There's a lot of blind turns. It's hard to see exactly what's going on when you're up the bumper of one of the Ferraris. So you're kind of at the mercy of the guy in front of you making all the right choices. So that makes it a bit, there was a couple times I thought there were some poor choices being made, so I backed off a little bit, but it is what it is. We got a pretty good car. We seem to get better as the run goes on, which is kind of difficult, but
I'm gonna guess you're not getting back in.
Yeah, we got a lot of adrenaline going here, so we can't feel much.
You can't feel much. Let's get down to Calvin Fish.
Good boy, Ronnie.
Down here with JJ Leto. JJ, that was a scary moment. Talk us through it.
Well, you know, I was doing Johnny's belt and it just caught on fire, you know. It's always on us. You know, whatever gap we build, whatever we do, everything's wrong, you know. I don't know what to say. I'm just, you know, in a track like this, you know, you can't afford to have mistakes like that, you know, and have fire. I don't know what was causing it, but, you know, it shouldn't happen.
It's a tough call to come in there, JJ. The window's open. You've got 45 minutes in the bag, certainly, but giving up that much track position was still a tough call for this team.
Well, it was, but, you know, that's what they decided, and, you know, we just have to believe that they did the right job, but, you know, we lost a lot because of the pit stop, so, no, we need to have a little bit later luck.
Okay, he's looking at the sky. He needs some rain, and if it rains, watch for him to get back in there fired up and put on a show.
And speaking of rain, the clouds are moving in over the top of the street course here in Miami. There was a thunderstorm predicted this afternoon. Will it turn up? Well, we'll find out. Formula One, American Le Mans Series and Champ Car. We've got it all here on Speed today, that's for sure. You've got qualifying coming up tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. That's the Champ Car event here from Miami, and I can tell you it was pretty interesting. You should watch it tonight at 8. Well, shots just there of the clouds rolling in, the rain in the distance. If you wanted to make this race any more interesting, well, we can. Have a look at that. They did predict a storm earlier today, and it is on its way. Let's bring you up to date with something that occurred earlier this weekend. Fantastic stuff. I was there, Bill Adam was there, and some of the teams was there. We're talking about the Homestead Air Force Reserve Base. Champion took a car there, Corvette, Ferrari, and Kevin Buckler's Racers Group went. Kevin was there himself. These F-16 fighters, absolutely fantastic.
You know, they're so amazing. This was just a wonderful day when a lot of the drivers and the teams were able to give something back to the Air Force. And these fellas all do so much for us and rarely ask anything back. In fact, they didn't ask for this. This was volunteered by the 4 teams. So wonderful generosity on the part of these guys. And God, what a day they had.
ProDrive's Peter Cox was absolutely taken by it, wasn't he?
Peter was ready to jump into that F-16 and sign up, I think, as we all were.
We say thank you to all the boys at the 93rd Squadron, the 482nd Fighter Wing, the Makos, for showing us such a wonderful time.
They are great, just the best pilots in the world, and what tremendous generosity they have by giving us so much time. And you know, it's good fun watching some of their flight mechanics take a look at the cars and looking at different cars going, hey, look, there's this piece here. There's so many similarities between a jet fighter and a modern race car. It was interesting to watch the mechanics on the fighters comparing them.
Cleanup continues here. That's the Team Bucknam Racing Pill Beam that needs to be rescued, and we are still under our second caution. Let's get it back to pit lane. Here's Andrew.
Jarman Lucas has just stepped out of the car. Lucas, you've never been beaten on an ALMS street circuit. Have you got a special technique?
No, there's no special technique. I think it's a little bit of luck.
just stay out of the walls and get good through the traffic. And of course, good pit stops. I just were a little bit unlucky by overtaking. Jörg went by me because I was just stuck in traffic, and so we went into the pits, but we left the pits first, so it's pretty good.
Thanks very much. Down to Calvin Fish.
Well, scary moment down here. David Salins jumped out of the number 10 Panos, and you can see they're totally dehydrated, overheated, and they got him on the side of the wall, trying to attend to him, get him cooled down. But these are the conditions. They say our race car drivers, athletes, when you're out there in this humidity and the cockpit temperatures, even in the open cockpit cars, a lot of heat is distributed back through, particularly with the front engine Panos.
Wow, look at David on the pit wall there, and he is exceptionally fit.
He is. That's really surprising. But one of the difficulties that you don't think about is that these concrete walls that line the tracks actually hold a lot of the heat. They hold a lot of the carbon dioxide in the general area. So you're not able to breathe the normal fresh air that you usually can.
Andy Waldrop, the team manager, was in attendance there, keeping a close eye on David Salins. The cleanup continues. Hopefully it won't take too much longer. We'll return live from Miami after this. Welcome back to the Grand Prix Americas, the penultimate round of the 2003 American Le Mans Series. Still under our second full course caution. First one on lap 20, second one began on lap 44. We're now on lap 53. The cars cruise around in a bit of respite for the competitors in these very, very hot conditions. Let's take advantage of this caution period. You see the Asemco Ferrari there. Bill's going to try and speak with driver Terry Borchello.
Terry, this is Bill Adam. Do you read me? Terry Borchello, this is Bill Adam. Do you hear me?
Hey, Bill, how you doing?
Well, I think we're doing okay up here in the booth, but how is it out there in the track?
This is my first look at it for the race. I just got in. Shane got out, did a good job. We had a couple of unfortunate situations with the yellows, but I'm about to head back into the pits for a splash of fuel, and I think we'll be able to go to the end.
Yeah, the traffic conditions out there look absolutely brutal, Terry. So is the track itself deteriorating?
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. It's tight, and there's a lot of cars, but it's fun.
How about the air itself? We just saw David Salins get out of the Panos, and it looks like he was suffering just from a dehydration problem. You almost need one of your K&N filters on your helmet to keep the air clear.
On the pit lane, guys. Yeah, the K&N filter's doing its job for sure.
Time for Terry to go into the pits. We heard exactly what he is up to, a splash and go, and hopefully that will get them all the way to the end in the Asemco Ferrari. And if you've just joined us late, wonderful news for Team.
Look on the back.
Jeff Jean Brandy, wow.
Look right there, that's the rear tray. The crew's taking a look at it right now. It's come loose. Let's see if we're going to try and reattach it or just take it off. That's a fairly critical piece of aerodynamic influence on these Ferraris. They're relatively low grip cars to start with. They need everything they can possibly get. So look at the crew, they're trying to tie it up.
This is a fairly well-drilled team too. Jeff Jean Brandy has assembled. They go to work, but that's pretty costly time-wise. Brian.
Here with Darren Turner. Darren, a lot of pressure on you this weekend, certainly. We talked about this at dinner last night, actually. You've been in this car, you ran it at Sebring and Le Mans, but to step in Jan's absence, especially to a street circuit, you've never even been on a street circuit.
That's right. I mean, it's a bit of a baptism of fire, but that first stint, absolutely loved it. I took a few too many risks with the traffic, but I really got into the rhythm and just enjoyed it. But I think now David's going to do another hour, and then I'll do the last bit, so I'm looking forward to getting back in the car.
One of the crazy guys who's looking forward to get back in the heat. The conditions out there, they've got to be absolutely brutal on you guys.
That's probably the only thing I'm not looking forward to. It's great for a diet. I've lost so much weight in just 45 minutes, but it's really, really hot out there at the moment.
Well, you guys have heard of the South Beach diet. This is the Miami diet. You strap yourself in one of these cars and go drive it around for 2:45.
Speaking of fitness, I mean, Darren himself is very fit. He's a McLaren Mercedes Formula One test driver, so he is at the peak of fitness. Hour number one has gone. Let's take a look at what occurred here on the streets of Miami, and JJ Lehto got away to a dynamic start, but the early happenings were Marco Werner really applying the pressure to JJ, and the ADT champion Audi did not crumble under that pressure. The battle, the ever-present battle going on between Corvette and Ferrari, and Peter Cox slapped the wall but did not lose a position at that stage. Bill Auberlen got into the side of Robin Liddell. That caused Bill to have a flat tyre, and Liddell got out of that situation okay. The first caution came out on lap 20. Ross Bluestein in the BMW, he was able to get going once again. The Ferraris and the Corvette, the GT race was on. At that stage, it was Turner, Cox, and Ron Fellows. And after our first round of pit stops, Johnny O'Connell is now at the head of that battle. The Alex Joe Porsches, once again dominant here on the streets of Miami, and they are still in that position of first and second in class. Now here has what's brought us to a halt. This was the beginning of it all. John Field got tapped by the Olive Garden Ferrari. There was a traffic jam down there in turn 1. Now look at this. Mark Lee went through on the inside of the 61 PK Sport car. That was it, the day done for the 43, and a fire down in the champion pit, and a very, very scary moment for JJ Lehto and especially Johnny Herbert. And after that, driver change there in the Panos pit. David Salins was not well, but thankfully I think he's made some progress right now. Back down to the pits, here's Cal.
Well, Brad Kettler takes off his mask. Brad, what happened in the fire? What created the fire in the pit stop?
Well, there's a little bit of an angle to the pit lane, and it made it hard for the fueler to get a good, clean release out of it. And we got the fuel probe a little bit cocked, and we got a little dribble of fuel on the engine cover that dropped down in the engine cover, and the flame came up out of there and got in around the dry brakes. It was a very little amount of fuel, but made a pretty big flame.
Any damage to the car? Any crew members hurt?
No, none whatsoever. Everybody was ready. The guys were right on it, put it right out. The biggest delay was that Johnny jumped back out because he popped the seat belts loose, and JJ had to put him back in.
Yost did not pit. Your thought on that and strategy from here on out?
We had planned, if we got past 45 minutes, to take advantage of it. And I think we're looking pretty good now because they're getting close to their fuel window. Maybe they'll have to do it under green, I hope.
We're back to green, fellas.
We certainly are, and Marco Werner leads the way down into turn 1. Now watch for the champion Audi. It's going to need to find its way through the traffic in a swift manner with Johnny Herbert at the wheel.
Yeah, you see Johnny right there coming up through the traffic. He wants to be fairly cautious at this point until he really starts getting into the flow of the race. This is his first hot lap in action, but earlier this weekend, it looked like he had responded to JJ's standards. I mean, boy, JJ's jumped in these cars lightning fast immediately. Johnny, I think, is getting inspired by what JJ's been doing in this car, and he has been so quick in every session, so I don't think it's necessarily going to be a disadvantage.
As we work our way back around under green racing conditions, it's Werner, Herbert, Loretta, so the Panos is up to third, Leitzinger sits fourth, Wallace is fifth, the top two in 675, then Mike Lewis, Scott Maxwell. They've done a good job. Scott Maxwell in the second Panos. Gunnar Jack crashed that car earlier this weekend. They had to start from the back of the grid. They did not have any more track time this weekend, and Maxwell has whipped his way through the field up to 7th outright and only 1 lap down, so great effort, Scott Maxwell.
Yeah, another one of these great stories that the crash took place on the very first day on Friday morning, and they didn't get any time at all in it in any of the other practice and qualifying sessions, and they have done a really outstanding job climbing back up. You know, it's good the crew can set the car up that well that Scott is able to bring the car back up to 7th.
Change internally too in the Panos organisation. Nick Potter no longer engineering for those guys, and Larry Holt from Automatic, of course, has a very close association with Scott Maxwell. He is engineering the cars this weekend. As we watch Johnny Herbert up on Olivier Beretta trying to get through this traffic.
Yeah, a little bit frustrating right now. He's got to be very cautious, but he also has to try and take very subtle gambles. Remember, right there, you don't want to do that, Johnny. Tiny back over that side. I was going to get pinched against the wall for a minute. Now,
Maxwell
yeah, he's got fairly clear track now. And what Werner is doing, on the other hand, is since he has clear track, is to try and stretch as much as possible to get as big a lead as possible, because Brad Kettler, champion crew chief, pointed out they are due for their pit stop with Andy Bennett.
Andy Wallace, who currently sits second in the 675 class, 5th overall, is defending from Mike Lewis, who's got a busy weekend this weekend. So many times this year it's happened with him racing in the American Le Mans Series and the Trans Am race this weekend. That occurs tomorrow afternoon after the Champ Car race. And Mike will hand over to his regular co-driver, Tommy 675 championship in 2003. Andrew Marriott, what do you have for us?
I've got Mark Lee. Mark, what happened?
Well, I was driving behind the Celine of Conrad, and he was passing the 61 car. We were letting cars, and I saw a gap. I went in, and he turned in, and my steering broke, and I went straight into the wall.
How big a hit was it? Are you okay?
I'm okay. I'm just feeling a bit dizzy, but I'm okay.
You must be very disappointed.
Excuse me?
Must be very disappointed.
Oh yeah, I'm very disappointed. I mean, we had a really good run this weekend. The car was fantastic for the race. I could keep up with the Alex Job guys. Thanks to the crew, I did an awesome job this weekend. I feel sorry for them for the work they have to do now. I mean, I really enjoyed the 4 races in the ALMS this year, and I hope I'll be back next year.
We certainly hope you will be. Thank you, Mark.
Well, if Mark really feels sorry, I've got a good solution. Buy them lots of cold beer, Mark. That'll make them think better of you.
That takes them out of the GT race here today, and poor old Peter Barron did not even get to drive the car. Looking at Andy Wallace in the Dyson Racing LMP 675. Time to take a quick break from Miami. We'll leave you with our top 10 and return with more, plenty more. This is the Grand Prix Americas, and you're watching German Marco Werner, who is leading the 900 class. They have 5 wins under their belt this season, he and Frank Bieler, and could go to a record-tying 6th in the 900 class here today with victory. They are yet to stop. Calvin, they are running very strong at the moment.
They certainly are, Lee, but the question is, did they make a mistake on that strategy there? The key is, if we get a lot more yellow, Champion may be able to go the rest of the way without another stop. They were looking at a one-stop race. Ed Thomas, their engineer, told me before the on, they go an hour 30, green flag running. So they've still got a big window left, but they will have to stop. If Champion do not, they will surely lose the lead. Champion are in pretty good shape. They changed tires under that yellow as well, even during the fire, so they got new Michelin tires on there. They're looking pretty good. When we go to the 675 class, Dyson, they're trying to stretch fuel, trying to do it on one stop as well. Tires will definitely be a question mark there. Can they do 2 stints on the Goodyear tires? They're unsure, but a brand new compound, the 175, much softer than they've run all year.
Top 3 in each class displayed at the top left-hand side of the screen. That's bringing you up to date with what's happening in the 900 and 675 class at the moment. As Butch Leitzinger leads the way there, he is 4th overall on track, and he's got his sister car right behind in Andy Wallace. GTS leader is Johnny Red, Johnny Owen, just off to the side there. You saw that was the one of the Carlos Di Caseta BMWs, the Allegra Motorsport cars, and that was the Bill Aublin, Nick Johnson car into the tyre barrier. So Johnny O leads from David Brabham and Thomas Enger, the 2 Pro Drive cars chasing Johnny Red. Brian.
They got the lead on the pit stops. We've talked about this on these short, tight circuits before. Pit stops are critical. And they made the pass in the pits. Sometimes it's not beneficial to have 2 cars, and that's what hung up the Pro Drive guys. Both cars in at the same time. The pit stops were long. The Corvette got in, got out with only 1 car in the field right now. They got in, got out, driver change, fuel only. They think they can run the tires all of the way. And there's no one hungrier, even though they've got the championship, to take back the wins from the Ferraris. Ferraris have won the last 2. Corvette wants it back, Lee.
And they are the defending champions, Johnny O'Connell and Ron Fellows, here on the streets of Miami. Of nothing to do it. One more time.
One of the interesting things there, looking at that telemetry, you saw the pedal temperatures as they're running of 125 degrees. Now, I think the Corvettes have got the side windows removed. The Ferraris do not. The Pro Drive cars don't run, as does the Olive Garden car, the Raffinelli car. They all have the side windows in place for an aerodynamic advantage. So even with that extra airflow, the Corvette's still 125 degrees above their feet.
As is the case with GTS, in GT, the newly crowned champion leads the way. Sasha Masson in the car now. He recently took over from Lucas Luhr. We heard from Lucas with Andrew. They're running strong. Ahead of team, the sister car, Timo Bernard.
Fuel use, please. Fuel use.
Third in class is Ralph Kellner.
149.
Ferrari. Andrew.
Yeah, indeed, I am in the
running this $100,000 upgrade on the car for the first time. They've got traction control and a new sequential gearbox, and it's making some difference. Ralph Callender's has stayed in the car all the race thus far. At the next pit stop then, Anton Lazzaro will get into the car, but they're very happy down here at Rizzi Competizione.
Another solid run from those guys. Look at this traffic, it is relentless as the prototypes try to weave their way through Clickfield. And look at this, here comes Johnny Herbert weaving his way through with Fleisinger and Andy Wallace. The race continues, we're gradually creeping our way toward the halfway mark here at the beautiful Miami Street Circuit. Miami, I'd like to remind you to catch up with everything that's happening in the world of motorsport tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. As with every weekend, Speed News Saturday can bring you up to date with everything that happened in the US Formula One Grand Prix qualifying today and plenty more. The race continues here at Miami, the penultimate round of the American Le Mans Series, and during the break there were some reports from the ground of some drops of rain, just very light drops of rain on the circuit. As we look at the panos of Scott Maxwell, the 11th.
Yeah, copy that. We got a little bit down here. When it gets real bad, come in and we'll change drivers and put some rain tires on.
And I disagree with that. I mean, unless you that's the number 11 radio right there you're listening to, by the way. And unless it really becomes a downpour, slicks are still going to work better on a track like this. These are really heavily crowned roadways, and the runoff, unless it's a very heavy rain, the runoff is excellent. So a slick car will work better.
Look at the windscreen wiper working on Johnny Mollins, 31 Peterson White Lightning Porsche. Johnny currently sits 5th in the GT class at the moment as Maxwell whips on by.
The team down there, Leah, getting wets at the ready. The Yost team already the leader of this race right now, so it'll be interesting to see if some of these boys come in. But the advantage they have with the wet time typically is a little bit softer. But one team who does not want to see this is the Dyson team. They said that car needs speed to generate downforce. We don't have mechanical grip. The car's a nightmare in the wet. Let's put it right.
You talk about grip in the wet, and oddly enough, if it does get wet and the rain comes down, the fastest cars on the racetrack may very well be the GTS cars. This is not a big aero racetrack where aerodynamic downforce gives you grip. It all comes in the tires, and don't forget, GTS class cars, they can run traction control. The Corvettes and the Ferraris, they all do, and all of a sudden the fastest cars in a downpour could very well be the GTS class.
We certainly saw that earlier in the weekend, that's for sure. And just look at the amount of water on the windshield of Emmanuel Maspetti's Olive Garden Ferrari.
First car in Mercedes turbo diesel that attracted girls. What kind of girls were going to be attracted to a turbo diesel? Diesel girls.
Some sad news earlier this week, an announcement from Olive Garden that they will be leaving the team from Tuscany at the end of this season. And I spoke with Gabriele Raffinelli, the team principal. He said, well, we've had a great relationship. It's been a good run. We will find somebody else and we will look at a different program. Not a different program as far as ALMS. They're still going to be here, but with a different car and obviously a different sponsor next year.
Boy, this is third place in class now, right in front of Maspetti, and you saw him just give a little wave there down the straight. So I think he's just letting discretion be the better part of valor at this point. A duck. Oh boy, I thought he was going to give him a little horn there.
And in this car was one of the quickest. Brian mentioned we could expect to see the GTS cars run up towards the top end of the timing monitor. Well, this car was one of the fastest out of the entire field. The Olive Garden Ferrari earlier this weekend in the wet, it was flying.
Yeah, both Maspetti and Mimo Scatarella. Oh man,
that jump was
just that jump. They are both so good on street tracks. This is one place that offsets the aerodynamic advantage they feel both the Road Ferrari and the Corvette have. So this car, it's got real good, strong power. It gets off the corners well, and they've always been very happy with the braking of the car.
Speaking of GTS, it's still Johnny O'Connell, David Brabham, Thomas Engen. Now this car, Emmanuel Maspetti. That's the order. That's the top four as they stand right now. Up front, Werner has about a 28-second lead. Now make it 30 seconds over Johnny Herbert. That's the way it stands in 900 and overall. As the rain begins to fall and the master, Reinhold Jost, looks with concern. Sasha. The GT champions had a night on the town earlier this week, celebrating their championship victory, the second one in succession.
Still an early night, please. Ocean Drive. It's a mixture, you know, windmills like in Holland, it's houses like in China. Let's go in there. Get back to racing, it's still better. Cheers.
They just might be celebrating some more. They're leading the way in GT. The Alex Jones Racing McKenna Porsche doing a nice job at the moment. Passes up to 11th overall, and leads has well in excess of a 30-second lead over the sister car with Timo Bernhard.
I don't know, we got a day with the makeup as they got a night with South Beach. I think we win. Oh, Yost!
Pit road.
Werner's getting out.
Sudden there, they weren't set up and suddenly they made the call. So maybe as a traffic situation, they were coming up on some traffic, they're going to lose a lot of ground and made that quick call. So Werner's getting out, Biela jumping in. These guys will share a championship if they do clinch here or at Petit Le Mans in the next round, the final round. So looks like routine. Now they're going to tyres as well under green. Remember last year, Frank Biela and Pirro won this race on the same set of Michelin. So this is a surprise that under green flag running, they're actually going to change tyres. Everything is complete. Little delay on the right front. Now they go back to the right rear to get that tightened up. All clear here for the Yost team. Biela's underway.
And it looks like they may get out in front of the champion Audi. Perhaps. We'll keep a close eye on it.
They're gone by.
Have they? They've gone. So Biela out. And the race is on. Yost versus champion.
Boy, Johnny Herbert is almost about 3/4 of a lap ahead of Yost right now. He's coming down the front straight here, and the Yost car should be going to the back straight right about this point. So, major gain for him. Plus, Frank will have to take at least a lap to warm up those new Michelins, and Johnny's are still hot. He's able to move the cars, and you see the flag over here, just warning drivers to stay out, not to slide wide in that corner. He's going to be left for safety.
After his first lap out, Frank Biela is 39 seconds in arrears of Johnny Herbert and playing the catch-up game. While we're in our last commercial break, Rick Skelton had a spin at turn 6, and now he's trying to recover from this situation.
Boy. This guy's getting batting practice.
Let's take a look at what happened to Rick Skelton.
Just watching the background, and tagged by an LM900 car. That's the Banana Joe car.
Field helped Rick around there.
And then, see, there's no damage on the back of the car, though, so I wonder if he stalled it and maybe just flooded it or something. He was moving the car a second ago.
Do you have the car in neutral? It is in neutral. In neutral.
Obviously having problems restarting it.
That may force our third full-course caution if Rick Skelton cannot help himself out of that situation.
But that would be a remarkable stroke of luck for Yost if the caution were to come out at this point.
You're looking at race leader Johnny Herbert.
Come on, he's slowing down. It is.
Caution.
Oh my heavens. Well, there's some teams that are lucky and some drivers that are lucky, and boy, Yost does seem to get the breaks.
They went a long way on that first tank of fuel. Great economy and a gamble has paid off. Luck on their side, and there's debris on the racetrack, as well as the Rick Skelton situation. Cal.
Down here with Marco Werner, great drive by you. You really put the pressure on JJ early, even with the championship on the line. That was a good strategy, you feel?
Yeah, I think so. That's a good strategy. We must keep for safety in this race. We need the points for the championship. And for us, it's okay if we finish second in this race. But it's very, very hard. You have a lot of problems with traffic, with the other drivers, with the GT cars. And that makes me tired for the concentration it's very hard.
Even with the master Reinhold Yo steering the ship here, were you concerned about the fact that Champion pitted under that first yellow and you did not?
No, I think so.
Just leave it to the guys here. There's an army of technicians back here with computers. Talk about the rain. How close was the call? Were you ever thinking about coming in for wets when we had that quick shower there?
Yeah, that was a big problem. You have a lot of understeering in slow corners, and then outside of the slow corners a big oversteering. That's the point to lose the car. It's very, very dangerous and hard for the concentration, but it was not a real time to change on wet tires. So it's okay, you must be on the slicks.
Okay, well, I think the big surprise of this stop, guys, was the fact that they did change those Michelins. Before the off, they said they should be good to go all the way, so that was a big call there.
God, what a driver he is. He is just sparkling in this series this year, but he's also learned very quickly. And that, do you think your boss did anything wrong, Mark? Nope, not a thing. Reinhold is perfect. I want to drive.
A lot of respect for the Yost organization. They're trying to help Rick Skelton. Plenty of people having fun for a variety of reasons here in Miami today. Class leaders. Speed Channel's coverage of the Grand Prix Americas is brought to you by BMW. Visit your local BMW center for a test drive. BMW, the ultimate driving machine. And by the United States Army, an army of one. Welcome back to Miami. Time to get it straight back down to pit lane. Brian, what's happening?
Just checking in. The Olive Garden car came in. It was a perfect time for them. That yellow brought them in and it allowed them to do their driver change. You saw the damage to the front end of the car. I'm trying to find out. Inga brought the Ferrari in. It looks like they fueled it, and oddly enough, they put tires on it. I'll try to find out why they did that. We were told these Michelins could go the distance.
That is kind of strange. I'm wondering about that too, that perhaps he was worried about maybe having cut a tire down with contact with another car.
Olive Garden car just had to serve a penalty, time penalty in pit lane. USCR behind the wheel now in GTS. Johnny O'Connell still leads the way from David Brabham. As far as the overall race, obviously it's Herbert, then Biela. Beretta is on the lead lap for Panos, doing a nice job. And finally the 16 is in pit lane, Cal.
Well, he tried to stretch it as far as he could. I believe we've got just under an hour and 15 to the checker lead, and that's the key. If they can stretch it out with green flag running, we have a lot of yellow, so they're getting good mileage at this point. So Butch brings it in. Going to turn it over to James Weaver. These boys have won so many races, so many championships over the years to work together. They're just a team in total harmony there. Very casual here under yellow, and we see some Goodyears out here. Going to go to scrub Goodyears if they do decide to change them, so they lay out the little wheel trays, wheels in position, and then they'll probably make a call on if they're going to change. So under yellow is a bit more leeway in making that tire change, and why not? That's what I'd be doing, and we'll see what happens.
Hey, Cal, are you interested to see, there was a lot of talk beforehand about just how brutal this track is, and especially the bump. A lot of the 675s are holding together.
Yeah, well, certainly this car has come a long way. They did a lot of development over the winter lead. They had a fast car last year, but now they've really got on top of this chassis. They had a few electrical issues with that startonator. That's really has a tendency to overheat and go away. So that'll be a key. With these rules, they have to fire the engine back up here, so they've got it shut down right now. A little bit of a delay, as we said, under yellow's not going to cost too much.
Then she'll go down, so get ready to start.
And James Weaver gets the go-ahead to fire it up, and right now I don't hear anything. I hate to talk this up, boys, but we've been here before. This thing struggles with, James fires it, and then kicks in again and struggles it again. That's
Down in the 88 to finish that story, guys, I just checked in with the team. They looked at the window and decided they could come back in, top the thing with fuel, and make it to the end of the race. They also gave Thomas Inga a new drink bottle, something that was actually cold this time. The thing heats up so much in the car that he's almost drinking warm fluids, and they went ahead and put the Michelins on it because they figured they were in here underneath the yellow. They really wouldn't lose much, so put new shoes on it and fill it with fuel, and the thing should be good to go to the end. The question is Thomas Inga good to go to the end? It is brutal down here, guys.
Peter Cox did that very short opening stint, and Inga has a lot of work on his plate. Hopefully on the other side of this, we'll see the green flag and go racing. As the clouds hang over top here in Miami, I'd like to remind you that tonight, 10 p.m. live here on Speed, the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series from Las Vegas. Ted Musgrave is on the pole. Can he convert that into a win? Find out tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Speed. Still under caution, cruising around here. It's our third caution of the day. And we want to take advantage of this time to inform you of quite an interesting story involving one of our premier teams. There's been some frustrating moments for the ADT champion team. Johnny Herbert here and JJ Lato. It's been well documented there, his frustration. Calvin seemed to get quite angry, this team, on occasions.
Well, I think his therapist must be here because JJ's got a big smile on his face. JJ, sometimes racing gets really intense, and I know the boys on the team and you and Johnny get wound up at times, and I think they put you through anger management classes. Tell us about it.
Well, it's just it started a little bit earlier on already this season. You know, we had some troubles with everybody, and you know, it seemed to be that everything was always our fault. It wasn't, but you know, it was. You know, so. You know, we got angry, and you know, it was just we thought that, you know, maybe we have to control ourselves a little bit better. So we decided that we're gonna make this anger management thing for the whole team. And you know, it was like in Road America, we won the race, and I was yelling on the radio, and this anger management is working. And you know, then we just made the badges and you know, shirts and everything. So it's just a nice little thing inside the team, and everybody's laughing. You know, so it's.
Is there a fine system in place? You've been known to flip off the GT car now and again.
What's that?
You flip them off, you know, you give them the finger?
Yeah, well, you know, that's just, you know, I have a cramp on the finger, you know, sometimes, so I don't know, it just happens, you know, I have nothing to do with it.
All right, mate, good luck.
Working our way towards green. The anger management is working. Back under green here at Miami. Here we go. We're over the halfway mark. Second half of this one. It's the second last round of the year. The champion team do it on home soil, or will Yost reign supreme again? They are coming from behind.
Yeah, and I think fuel is going to come down to playing a big part in this race, because remember, champion ducked in about 25 minutes before Yost. Now, Yost did say they could probably do an hour and a half of green flag racing. Can champion do it? They were the lap leaders of Sebring. They certainly got, wow, debris already. I wonder if this is, maybe somebody can run out, some brave person can run out.
We did see the Olive Garden team definitely taping up the front right of that Ferrari 550, so that may be from that side of the car, and it's just brushed the wall there. You're right with race leader Johnny Herbert, and we'll update you on that interval back to Frank Beeler. When they came across, when they received the green at the restart, it was under 10 seconds, and Beeler will be making his way to the line. It's 13 seconds now, so maybe Frank got caught up, not maybe, definitely Frank got caught up in a little traffic.
Yeah, 4-second difference on that lap. Johnny Herbert ran a 52.2, which is not particularly quick compared to qualifying, but considering the track is continuing to deteriorate, that is a fairly good lap. Frank Bielo's a 56.2, so a 4-second difference. But this lap should equalize everything. Frank's tires will be up to temperature, and he should be able to match Johnny pretty much.
And Johnny at the moment is saying, thank the Lord, it's a clear track ahead. There we have it. There is our answer. It is the Olive Garden team.
Yeah, and I expect that will maybe have at least a lap or two on the pace car just so that somebody can dash out and pick that up.
Remember, in American Le Mans Series racing, 4 different races in 4 classes. The 900 prototypes, the 675 prototypes, GTS and GT. Let's have a look at a replay involving the car.
It's flapping right away there. Yeah, the tape has just come completely loose. See, it still does have the green tape on it up in this part, but not nearly enough to hold it in tight. And the splitter, thankfully, is a totally separate piece. Let's see, maybe he got... I'll bet you that helped take it off.
Yeah, right there, that contact with the Semco Ferrari. One of the few times that the 100-mile-an-hour race tape doesn't work.
Glad we were talking to Shane at that particular moment, or he may have had a few things to say.
And we are having another full course caution, number 4 of the day on lap 93.
And again, champions bad luck or Jost's good luck. Johnny Herbert had pulled out to a 16-second lead, and poof, it's gone.
Ride with Johnny, you can see the pace car up ahead. 4th caution of the day. It's only been 11 laps since our last one. Only a couple of minutes since we got restarted. Class leaders, as we go to the break, we will return. Round 8 of the American Le Mans Series. A lot of charity work goes on with the ALMS, and recently at Laguna Seca, Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca, for the Victory Junction Gang, which is the charity, the foundation set up by the Petties for the majority of terminally ill kids and kids that just are doing it a little bit tough in life. The slot car competition and the fastest laps won dinner, and they were served by the team, the Orbit Racing team. And this particular family and kids enjoyed that. Great day at Peter Barron. Calvin.
Well, the leader in GTS, I believe, is the number 3 car, and is Johnny O'Connell behind the wheel and going to stay behind the wheel. He's getting some fresh rubber, new Goodyear, and Ron Fellows behind the wall. Everything was good there, so team has done a nice clean start. Back underway. Quick update on David Salins. I just spoke to the team manager, Painless, Andy Walker. He said he was okay, he was just dehydrated. He got on the radio to Andy and he said, I think something's wrong. He said, I'm blacking out. He said, bring it in, and that was really a good call there to get him in the pit lane. But let's go down to Brian.
Fernando Starker definitely hot. Scott Maxwell just got out of the 11 car a few minutes ago, and you look beat.
Yeah, well, with the engine up the front, and we're battling the car, we just didn't get enough track time to get a setup. So it's a lot of work, and I guess David was really suffering, and I felt better.
You looked at me and you said, I thought I felt bad until I saw David.
Yeah, well, you're on the radio. He was not feeling too well, and I started feeling it the last few minutes. I was lucky. Paul Tracy gave me one of these breathing t-shirts that helped a lot.
Well, it is brutal out there. The question is, can Beretta make it to the end? He's got a long stint.
And look at this. We've got a one-on-one fight now. Jost has been able to, Frank Bieler has been able to weave his way through the traffic, and now it's a one-on-one fight, just like we had at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, one of these things can happen where it actually can start demoralizing you because you work so hard to develop a lead like the ADT champion guys have, and just by the luck of the pace cars, Jost are suddenly back on their tail. Well, here's a nose-to-nose, and I think they're both going. The taillight's still on the Ferrari, so I think it's all fired up.
It's Johnny Bolam in one of the JMB Racing USA Ferraris. Look at the traffic. We can't stop it. It's just mind-blowing.
You know, it is right there. Look at the Ferrari almost tagging the nose again. Pro Drive car right in the back. He is blocked totally at a flat tire. Well, we may have another pace car. No, he's going. Good work. Excellent.
And that is the 29. Going again, Steve Irwin, Mark Newhouse. And that car will limp back to the pits.
Wow. I'll tell you, look at the distance that Herbert has put on Biel in one. Let's just watch what happens.
This is with Johnny Bolam.
Watching the inside. I got a feeling it's going to be a yep. Not the place to do that.
Very similar to the Mark Lieb situation.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened.
They've gone by, and the 29 limps back to pit lane. Johnny Herbert has been out some 51 laps on this set of fuel and tires.
You know, that was one of those situations that unless you are right alongside the car you're trying to pass still has the right to the corner. He had every right to turn it at that point. And he's the one that, the innocent suffering here.
Tough break there for the JMB team. An easy fix though. Here's our race leader, Johnny Herbert, to the tune of 2.7 seconds. And you have to keep in mind there the fuel load difference
Johnny really is flying. Boy, he is pulling it over Vila. Let's just take a look when he comes down across the start finish this time. But I thought Vila may try and put a lot more pressure on Johnny in this particular stint, knowing he had the luxury of full tank. He didn't want to push Johnny. Don't allow Johnny to lead the Audi out. I mean, the champion ADT and the USCR both have switches that can run lean settings. He does not want to give Johnny that opportunity.
Frank Vila has been a superstar over the past 13 years for Audi.
He sure has.
But he has never won an American Le Mans Series title, and he would dearly love to do it this year. It's almost his, but Champion are not giving up without a fight. Certainly if they stay where they are today, Frank Vila and Marco Werner will not clinch the LMP 900 title today. It will go all the way to the final round at one of the best races of the year, the Petit Le Mans at Road Atlanta.
And again, the Champion car banging over those bumps coming out of the front straight. Just the punishment all of these cars in this race are taking. Unbelievable.
Just going through the bottom of frame, there was the Essex Racing 675. We take a look now at the GT battle. These are the sister cars, the Alex Joe McKenna Porsches, going hard at it. And currently Sasha Masson leads the class. He's 10th overall. Timo Bernhard is right behind him, 11th overall, second in class. There's nothing between these guys. And you have to look a long way back to 14th overall. Anthony Lazzaro in the Risi Ferrari sits third in class and could possibly get their 5th podium in 8 races. It's been a wonderful, consistent year for Risi.
Yeah, I think the Ferrari guys are all looking forward to more GT help next year coming from Ferrari. They've all promised that they're going to actually take a fairly good run at it to try and challenge the Porsches. And the good thing is that like Uwe Bravel and Albert Springer, they're all saying, yes, this is what we need so our engineers don't become lax. We want Ferrari to push us.
4 wins so far this year for Sasha Masson. Look at Timo Bernhard.
Timo really looking hot through that one corner.
And little Timo says you might have the title already, but I can still win races. This one's not over by a long way. Look at the Ferrari flashing. That's David Brabham saying hop out of the way.
David wisely flashing the lights because he knows they're both going to be so heavily involved in their own battle, they may not be paying attention.
In fact, I think that's Thomas Enger. Thomas Enger coming through after that most recent pit stop. That's the 88 car. Yeah, here's Thomas.
Yes.
Good illustration there of the difference in speed between the 550 Maranello and the Porsche 911. Even on such a short, tight circuit like this.
Well, the one thing about the short circuit like this is it tends to equalize all of the cars a great deal more than from GT to GTS and 605 to 900. The relative accelerations and top speeds aren't all that much different. Like we saw earlier in the onboard telemetry, the Champion ADT car was about 156 miles per hour down the straight, and yet the Corvette is around 150, so not a great deal of difference.
This GT class battle goes on as Timo Bernhard thinks about it on the inside, but he's not quite close enough down into turn 1. That will continue, and so will we on the other side of this. Less than an hour to go. This is the American Le Mans Series here on the shores of Biscayne Bay. Beautiful day. We had a few spots of rain. Trouble for the newly crowned GTS champion, Johnny O'Connell. The sister car went out early this morning and did not even start the race, and now Johnny O has obviously crunched the wall pretty hard.
Boy, that is a huge impact. I wonder if he's got the... Oh, and he's spinning in his own oil. He's obviously lost either the radiator or oil cooler up on the front.
Pressure, Danny. No water pressure.
Well, that's it. He's saying no water pressure. Radiator has drained. He just spun in his own water.
Let's hope Johnny can get back to pit lane so the team can assess the situation. Was leading the class at one stage.
Now this is catch-22 right here, Lee, because he wants to try and get back as quickly as possible, but with no water, how much overheating is the engine going to suffer through this immediately?
Here's what happened.
Inside the junkyard dog. Oh, boy, and that's a solid tag on the wall.
And Johnny took that hit trying to avoid contact with this car. Here it is in real time.
Onboard Johnny's car. Let's watch him set up here for the next corner. Listen. Whoa.
racing. Ron Fellows has won his second GTS title. Johnny O'Connell is first. Now they've got to face this. Brian.
He brings it in, massive damage to the left front. You guys can see it on the camera up there, but when you see it down here, you can see the radiator is all askew, the hood, the bodywork is done. Trying to look at the suspension itself, it doesn't look like the suspension is damaged. It may all just be cooling off of what they call the front porch on this thing. If the engine did not overheat too much on the way in, theoretically, they could get this thing back out. Obviously, many laps down, but it may be repairable without any suspension or frame damage.
Well, you know what, Brian? I didn't see any steam coming out the back of the car to show signs of the engine getting too hot, but he really hit that wall in the corner a hard one. I'd be quite surprised if the wheel or control arms aren't damaged to some degree.
I'm trying to get a look in here real close, and I'm looking at the left front. I don't see anything bent, but in looking in the cockpit of the car, the steering wheel is straight, the wheels are straight. It's askew, but it was a big hit. I saw it on the monitor also, but I can't believe what I'm looking at. It looks like a tank. Yeah, I don't see anything bent.
Well, I wouldn't get too close, Brian. I don't think they've been the anger management course.
Yeah, I'll try to keep my distance there, Bill. I got pretty good anger management myself, right?
You do. I've always been impressed.
Case of rip and tear down there. The Corvette racing boys. I'm saying, yeah, today's a day we should have stayed in bed.
Yeah, now usually the radiator itself, you see working in this area. Normally that is on a separate grader. They pull like an aluminum bracket system completely off the car, and they can replace water radiator and an oil cooler, usually with this one piece, like a one separate unit.
Looking at David Brabham in the 80 car, rode by Ferrari, and 2 successive wins. He and Jan Magnussen inherited that second win at the Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca because Thomas Enger and Peter Cox were disqualified for failing the stall test, which is an error and take situation, and they could possibly go 3 straight. They have had a very successful run since joining the ProDrive Ferrari team. Meanwhile, work continuing here on Johnny O'Connell and Ron Fellows' car.
Boy, it looked like Johnny's helmet had a leak there too. I think he maybe just taking a drink from the tube, running into the front of his helmet. If anybody happened to watch and wonder what that was.
Been a busy time of late for David Brabham. Just 2 weeks ago, he flew straight back from Australia. He drove for Dick Johnson Racing down there in the V8 Supercars at the Sandown 500 and will return in just over a week for the Bathurst 1000. So Brabham is very busy at the moment, and Darren Turner, his young British teammate, did a wonderful job early on. His first ever street race. He handed the car over nice and neat to Brabs, and David has taken it from there. The only challenge now for Johnny O'Connell on the sidelines for the time being is the sister car of Thomas Enger.
Also, just to bring the viewers up to date, that Johnny Herbert continues to lead, now has almost a 10-second lead over Frank Milo, so he really seems to be on the money that he's pulling out a pretty nice lead at this point as we watch the Ferrari.
I can't remember if we mentioned this or not. The reason why Jan Magnussen isn't with David Brabham, Magnussen is back home in Denmark. There's a chance that he could win the Danish Touring Car Championship this weekend, and that was a previous commitment. So it's a very important day for the ProDrive Ferrari team. 3 in a row. Historic stuff. One of the most talked about shows on Speed in 2003, Dave Despain's Wind Tunnel. This week, in fact tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern, you can catch Paul Gentilozzi, who is now, obviously we know he's multiple times Trans Am champion and now a kart team owner, but now he's heavily involved in the organisation that is taking over kart. Where is it going? You can find out tomorrow night on Wind Tunnel. 2 hours down, a little more than that. Let's bring you up to date. Restart after the second portion. Marco Werner still behind the wheel, and what a stunning job he did in his opening stint. They pitted, and they pitted under green, and Johnny Herbert said thank you very much and went whizzing on by, and it was kind of unexpected. It was a very late call. Rick Skelton got helped around by Clint Field, and that was quite a costly time period there. Johnny Herbert did a wonderful job whipping his way through traffic. Now in the lead and enjoying his time there. The 0 Olive Garden Ferrari had its fair share of problems, but there were more to come. Thomas Enger brought the 88 in for a top-up and some fresh tyres. The 16 went more than halfway, and Butch Leitzinger handed over to James Weaver. At the restart, it brought the top two back together, and luck swinging Yost's way. Frank Wheeler got a clear look at those guys. Then the Olive Garden car collected the back of the Asemco Ferrari. Johnny Molan came in contact with the 29 of Mark Newhouse, and then this, Johnny O'Connell was very, very generous in avoiding contact, major contact, I think I could say, with the Junkyard Dog, and he punished and penalised himself, and that car sits on pit road. And the most recent incident, if you want more than that, was just a few moments ago involving two GT cars, the J3 racing car. Bill, talk us through this.
Well, everybody wants to spin at once. You see him going around, he tries his best to avoid it, but gets backed into anyway, and then he in turn spins.
The 61 PK Sport entry in the J3 Porsche as well. So plenty happening here.
Little bag over the air inlet there. That's not really too good for temperatures on a street circuit where they're marginal at best.
And speaking of the Racers Group Porsche, Kurt Wagner is now up to 18th overall and 7th in class in the new Century Mortgage car. So he's pushing as hard as he can. It's been a pretty testing and trying weekend for the Racers Group. Countdown clock, just a little over the 40 minutes to go. As we look from the Porsche aerial cam above the streets of downtown Miami. Wonderful atmosphere around this race. The weather's been pretty brutal though.
Well, boy, it has been hot, very, very humid. It's a real taxing day.
Johnny Herbert has been driving this car magnificently, but there is a big, big question mark over its fuel. Calvin, fill us in.
Well, I went up and asked the team, I said, is Johnny attempting to save you? And they said, no, we can't afford to, with Frank Wheeler right behind us. So they're flat out. And I said, well, you're going to have to stop. They said, no, we think we're golden. I said, golden? He said, well, we won't have any left when we hit the checkered flag. And I went back about 20 minutes later. They said, no, we've recalculated. We're going to be shy. So they need some help with the yellow. I think the key to victory today will be if champion wins, they'll lose. They can stay out, they'll win.
Yeah, are they going to be lucky in the yellow? I mean, Yost today certainly have had remarkably good breaks with the yellow flag, taking him back from being almost a lap down at one point, and then taking away a 14-second deficit to put them right back on the tail. So maybe champion will have some of that good luck coming their way for a change.
Well, we just had the leader in 675 come down pit lane. James Weaver, the team was not ready. I turned around and then he drove by the team, checked in with them. They said, well, we had the fuel pressure light come on, and then it occurred itself as he drove down pit lane. So they're hoping, fingers crossed, they continue out front.
Sports car legend, the British driver James Weaver, doing a wonderful job. Butch Leitzinger, his opening stint was pretty remarkable. They got good fuel economy on that car. It was a very big chunk of time out of this race before he handed over to James. And those guys up front in 675 land. David Brabham leads the way in GTS.
David Brabham, I went and checked with the ProDrive guys. I said, is everything fine? They said, yeah, not a problem. He's good to go to the end. He just needs to make sure he concentrates on what he's doing. I said, so he's good to go, no fuel problems. I got a shrug. So that'll be interesting to see too. And also, still standing here next to Johnny O'Connell in the number 3 Corvette, Danny Binks looking at the lower A-arm, a point that you couldn't see when the car came in. Buried up underneath the chassis, he's pulling on it. There's a lot of head shaking going on. I don't know if this car will make it back out, guys.
Those indestructible Corvettes have had a pretty tough day. We look at GT, and the Joe Porsches are about to put a lap here on the Peterson White Lightning car. Caution, local caution, that's Clint Field. The Banana Joes, Riley and Scott. 61 takes evasive action. Very damaged PK Sport Porsche.
Boy, somebody's taking a big chunk out of that right rear. It's amazing it didn't hit the tire also.
So Clint can fire that prototype back up. This battle has been going on forever.
Yeah, Johnny Molan wants to be lapped by these two. They've had a pretty disappointing run at White Lightning, but I noticed that Molan was closing on the 3rd and 4th runners in this class, actually closing up quite quickly. But now he's got to hold off two cars from the Joe team and running absolutely like clockwork.
And Timo Bernard almost thought about ducking in behind Tommy Dreesy there and getting sucked through on the inside. of the sister car of Sasha Masson, then thought twice about it. Clint Fielder's got going again. The junkyard dog rounds him up, not quite. Then Frank Wheeler trying to weave his way through these guys. What a slow situation there.
Well, what I'm looking at too, looks like there's something on the pavement right there. I thought I saw an oil slick back there, and I wonder if one of these cars just left something through there. Maybe that explains why they were all going slowly.
Banana Joe's car ducks in the pit lane. The others continue. We'll take a short break from Miami. Stay with us. The countdown to the checkers is on. Continue here at Miami. This is the Grand Prix Americas. It's been a pretty interesting day on the water and off. And on the racetrack, Johnny Herbert continues to lead. And we've got three class leaders together right here. The overall race leader and 900 leader, the GT class leader, and David Brabham, the GTS class leader, all whipping through under the trees. As Kelly Collins told us earlier, a pretty difficult section of this very, very short, twisty, narrow street circuit here in Miami. We are nearing the end of this one. Guys, what can we expect from each of your respective classes?
Well, Lee, in LMP 900, I think unless Champion really get a miracle here, they're going to have to pit for fuel. Yost are in good shape. They're well within their window. They're both on good second sets of Michelin tires, so they're good there. But, I mean, unless they really pull one out of the bag with a lot of yellow or maybe some rain, the clouds are rolling in, I think it could be another Yost victory here in Miami. In LMP 675, I just spoke to Butch Leitzinger. He said James' car is running fine. They're good to go in terms of making it to the distance without another stop. They just had that slight hiccup on the fuel warning light. Brian.
One thing in GTS I can tell you is probably going to be a red Ferrari that wins this thing, but the question is which one, because I've got to believe that much like the guys at Champion, without a yellow, David Brabham is going to have fuel issues. They were kind of iffy at best. He's got the tires to do it, but the question is, will he have the fuel? And if he doesn't, look for Thomas Inga and Peter Cox to be on the top step of the podium. Andrew?
Yeah, well, all I'm going to say is a Joe car is going to win this. Which one is going to be? I have absolutely no idea. Of course, if Sasha Masson does it, it's his 20th win, but he's just been overtaken. I think that was all a little bit to do with the Johnny Molan situation just landing there.
Well, if it's got anything to do with his determination and fire, Timo Bernhard will win this. He is now in the lead of GT. The 24-car persistence has paid off for the little man. There he is. Timo Bernhard now is in front and has left Sasha Masson behind. And he is driving in such a determined fashion today. He was hounding the back of Masson and now sits atop that class. Well done, Timo Bernhard. Hopefully he can settle some of that frustration that he and Jorg Bergmeister have had this year with another victory. He is well and truly on his way. A little over half an hour to go and we'll be done here in Miami. Autofocus, 8 p.m. right here on Speed, 4 nights a week. Different shows each and every night where the cars are the stars. That's Autofocus, 8 p.m. Eastern, 4 nights a week, Monday through Thursday, right here on Speed. Welcome back to Miami. You can see the cloudy skies above, but the rain is still holding off. There is the second place Yost Audi, the championship favorite in 900, Frank Wheeler at the wheel. He's some 17.5 seconds behind Johnny Herbert for the overall position and in 900. But the thing is there in question as the champion Audi whips on by the Olive Garden Ferrari. The question still begs about fuel for the ADT champion Audi. They need a yellow to help them out. Herbert disappears around this concrete lined circuit. We ride with the Olive Garden Ferrari and their team principal Gabriel
mean, it was a drive for me. My business was marine business. And I was racing myself, and I was preparing racing boats for everybody. And then in 1988, we won the Maxi Boat World Championship in San Francisco with Paul Kaya steering the boat. We won 9 races on 9. And there, Mr. Garini said we must do the America's Cup. And it was a challenge that we took. And in '92, which is 10 years ago, to go to America and really try to beat the Americans was a dream. But we got very competitive, we got to the final. We are the only one in New Zealand, by the way. And then, you know, we lost in the final against America. But it was a good challenge at the time. When I was racing with the BMW team in the German Touring Car Championship. We were very successful over there. And all of this was a drive. I got into Formula One by chance, but I found that it was not for me to be there. We were not good enough to advance. This was right in 1991. So it was not good enough for us to be there, and I thought the best way to do is to come out before we hurt ourselves.
And that was just a little snippet of what was a much longer interview with Gabriele Raffinelli that we will show you at Petit Le Mans broadcast right here on Speed. Continuing on, less than half an hour to run here on the streets of Miami. Can the team from Pompano Beach, Florida, the ADT, one of the Dyson cars is slowing in the background. One of the Dyson cars looked to be in trouble in between turns 5 and 6. There it is there. It had very much an inside line and looked to be running a lot slower than what it was supposed to be.
I wonder if that's another recurrence of that fuel pressure that they talked about earlier when James almost came to stop in the pits and it seemed to be self-curing.
Yeah.
That's one of a great difficulty. It frequently happens here because of the heat of these street circuits. The fuel pumps always are susceptible to this, to vapor locks.
Frank Fielder continues the chase, now in excess of 20 seconds behind as he continues the chase. Ryan.
Well, one of the finest gentlemen in pit lane, Gabriele Raffinelli. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you very much.
29 years old, right?
That's right.
29 again. So great to have you guys here, and you're such a part of the ALMS family here in pit lane. What can we expect to see from you guys next year?
Well, I cannot tell you now. We'll be here. Now we have to finish the race. That's the most important thing for us.
Always thinking about going fast and finishing the races, guys. He has told me they will be here, and he wants to run in GTS.
And we want him to be here too, one of the stalwarts of this series.
Definitely one of our favorite people. He's just got a wonderful personality, always smiling, full of confidence and upbeat. His crew love him. We've seen the crew on a couple of occasions going back to Mosport even. They also did a 24-hour all-nighter working on this car after Mimo Scararella had a big crash in turn 3. And that's the reason they do it, because the man is something special.
Remember that fabulous moment in the European Le Mans series when Scararella put their mole and their prototype on?
Yes, on the mole.
Huge moment for that team. Here's David Brabham. He leads GTS, but I can tell you what, Thomas Enger, it was only about 6 or 7 laps ago. Thomas Enger was 18 seconds behind. Now it's down to 6.5. The Corvette has been fixed. Johnny O'Connell did return to the track not so long ago. He has dropped some 23 laps behind, but he is still 4th in class. Problems here for one of the Racers Group Porsches. That was the 67.
Yeah.
And that car, what an amazing story with this car. It went away to a body shop. It got completely wrecked. The whole front end of that thing got wrecked yesterday, and the team worked around the clock overnight to fix it.
We thought that car was a write-off. It just looked so bad. The entire front end was bent well over. Kevin Buckler said, no, it's not inside me to give up on this thing. They took it over to the body shop, and he wanted all of his team cars out here in racing today, and hats off to all of those guys.
The CompuAir Corvette boys aren't giving up either. Cal.
Well, Johnny O'Connell has brought the number 3 in again, and they put it up on jack stand, so there must be something major underneath the car. It doesn't look like they're going to the front end damage. Maybe it's a gearbox or something else related further down the drivetrain. So not a happy day for Corvette, but quick update on that 16 car, the leader in LMP 675. I just checked in with the Dyson team. They think they may be seeing slightly high gearbox temperatures than he would like, so now and again he's just cooling it a little bit to make sure he gets the double checkered flag.
Well, that's not a bad idea.
Ryan, back down here in the Zero Olive Garden pit, they brought the Zero Ferrari in because in that contact that they had earlier, they broke one of the air restrictors, and you'll know that these engines are restricted so that they can equalize the horsepower amongst the different makes. You can see that there's a trumpet down on the spoiler of the car. That's actually the air restrictor. It gets fed in through the front bumper. They're running P3 right now. Podium finishes are precious for these guys, and they want to make sure that that broken air restrictor does not cause them a problem in tech. You'll remember back to Laguna Seca in the 88 ProDrive Ferrari, it did just that. They want to make sure it doesn't happen here.
Going hard to work there. Those boys continue on. The clock counts down. Class leaders, we will show you as we go to the break. Welcome back to Miami as we count down to the checkered flag here for the penultimate round of the American Le Mans Series. We are under our 5th full course caution. It is due to debris on the track, and that belongs to the number 11 JML Panos. Gunnar Jeanette collected the wall, and that is what has brought out this safety car period. Here's Gunnar bringing the car back in. Look at this, parts flying off this car everywhere. Gunnar slammed the wall very hard early in the weekend. He only done something like 6.5 laps, and the car did not come out for the rest of the weekend until the race, and they worked very hard on it, but that's where it will stay today. Incidentally, coming up later on tonight, right here on Speed at 10 p.m. Eastern, is the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series live from Las Vegas. I apologize, it wasn't Ted Musgrave on the pole. Brendan Gaughan grabbed the pole, and he will start that position tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, right here on Speed. So this begs the question, will the 38 take advantage of this caution, Cal?
Well, they've been poring over the computer screens. Here you see Brad Kettler in the hood. He's working with his man Ed here. Brad, let's have a quick word with you. Are you going to run the gamble? What are the numbers looking like?
They're working on him right now. We're going to see what the consumption is under the yellow here. It's usually really, really good, and it should put us through, but we're still working on it. It's very tight.
So you think you still have a crack at this, getting the checkered flag today first?
I hope so.
Well, they here earlier he told me, he said, we're going to gamble, but if the numbers are too far adrift, I'm sure they will not risk running out. But they have victories. Short season left here, 2 races to go.
Their victory at Road Atlanta was one to celebrate. The 23 is on pit road, Andrew.
Indeed, the 23 and the 24 on pit road. And they both changed drivers, and a bit of a problem with Lucas Luhr's car. I thought he was going to get out first, but just wasn't quite quick enough. So still Timo Bernhard's car leads, and now Lucas has scored it. So that was a bit of a surprise. They fueled it up and they put new Michelins on. And Timo Bernhard did a great job, just climbed out of the car.
Good work. So the 24 still stays on top. Time for a quick break while we're under this caution. When we return, we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag. It's our last break before the checkers. Welcome back to Miami. This is the Grand Prix Americas, the penultimate round of the American Le Mans Series for 2003. Under caution at the moment, the 5th one of the day, due to some debris from Gunnar Jeanette's number 11 JML Panos. You're looking at Johnny Herbert. We just heard from the ADT champion team and Brad Kettler, the crew chief, saying, no, I think, well, we're working out the figures, but I think we might chance our arm on this one and stay out. So Herbert leads the race and leads 900. The 675 class leader is still James Weaver, but he's back in 6th overall. David Brabham is the GTS class leader. He sits 4th overall, but he's got his teammate Thomas Enger breathing right down his throat. And the GT class leader is Jörg Bergmeister. That's the way it stands, and we have about 15 minutes left to run in this, the 2nd American Le Mans Series race on the streets of Miami. Let's hear more from the GT field.
Yeah, I've got Timo Bernhard. A fabulous drive. You must have enjoyed overtaking the 23 car.
Yeah, that was very good. We had a very good run. The car was very good, and I think we fought for 1 hour, and that was just great. In the beginning, I dropped back a little bit because I was I had some traffic. So, and at the end, I could make it back, and I could overtake Sasha. And now we're leading. I hope we can win. So it's still close, but I think it looks good.
Why did you put a new set of tyres on just at that stop?
Why we didn't?
Why did you?
Yeah, just for the last few laps to be safe. Not that we have some problems, or just to be safe.
Very well done. Great drive.
He might be tiny, but he packs a punch, little Timo.
Boy, he has had just an outstanding day today. It's so funny. He looks so serious, and yet when you get him sitting down and talk to him, he's got this wonderful personality. Just really a good young driver.
Want to pay credit to the JML Panos team, the number 10. We heard problems earlier for David Salins. He's handed over to his Williams Formula One test driver, Olivier Beretta, and Olivier has done, well, David did too, but Olivier Beretta has done a wonderful job. They're just slightly behind. They're one lap down on the Yost Audi, but they are sitting in third overall and third in 900 class. That could possibly be, that should be their 5th podium of the year, and that's a record-tying one for the Panos organisation, tying Brabham and Magnussen. So an excellent effort for those guys. Look at the weather here today, and it's getting pretty dark here at the moment.
I think that big bright spot is our boss from Speed arriving. Walking across the water as we speak.
I love these overhead shots. It just really helps.
Beautiful. Really see the city. The city is so pretty at night as well. It's a gorgeous city down here.
Sometimes on these road circuits, it's hard to follow exactly where you're at. You lose perspective, but that really...
That's right. Well, there is the fountain area right there that the cars have to swerve around. And this is the Bayside Marketplace up in this general area.
We go back to green. Here we go. This is the run to the end. Let's hope it's green. And Johnny Herbert bolts. That's the second time that he's got a dynamic restart. Wonderful stuff from Herbert.
Boy, great start. And Olivier Beretta, too, just putting the Panos right up there. He's ready to go. But Johnny is on fire. Gosh, I think he's so inspired this weekend.
The veteran of 165 Formula One Grand Prix and 3 F1 victories. A lot of his friends are up there in Indianapolis this weekend, but Johnny's work is now here with the American Le Mans Series as his field files through.
And there's Yost.
Frank Wheeler has a lot of traffic to deal with before getting anywhere near Johnny Herbert.
Now, I think that's the real critical part right now, that Wheeler may only be 7 or 8 seconds behind on the track. Trying to get through this crash while Johnny has a clean lap ahead of him is vital at this stage. Johnny and the crew, they had to be just praying for more and more of the pace laps. Every time they would go around and help just that little bit, but even as it is, I think it's going to be very tight on fuel for the 88 Champion fellas.
And right alongside, Frank Wheeler is the junkyard dog. Yes, it's still roaming. Wow. It's still out there, and it's third in class. Nice effort to Duncan Dayton and John Field, and especially Hugh Chamberlain and all of the people who chipped in with some spare parts for that car. It's still going, and that 675 title is still wide open. That'll go down to the Petit Le Mans.
Yeah, Wheeler is not quite ready to give up yet, because he went into that one corner so deep, he almost tagged the wall, actually. He got in too deep. He barely made it.
There's the 2 Ferraris, line astern. The 2 red Pro-Drive Ferraris. David Brabham has young Thomas Enger all over the back of him. And Enger is so fired up this weekend. Oh, no! That's Bergmeister. The lead GT car has thrown it away. Is it a flat right, flat left rear?
No, I think it's okay.
Pit now for tires. But their suspension is broke. Oh, shit!
No!
I can't believe it. There was water on this track.
Bergmeister saying there was water on the track. It's raining here in Miami. We see Oh no. That's heartbreaking stuff for those guys.
Just incredible. Timo Bernhard had the drive of his life today.
If it's anything more than a tie rod.
They want to try and keep him out if at all possible.
Well, we mentioned it's getting very dark here in Miami. A sprinkle of rain perhaps as he limps back to the pits. Let's have a look at what happened to Jörg Bergmeister.
I think coming down this straight, oh no, right there, just coming around the, no, he's already got a problem with that wheel. He already had a problem. This corner of the car was already vibrating. The impact on that outer wall had nothing to do with the problem that was already existing. I'll bet that's a result from the bump. It just finally broke from fatigue.
Tie rod, Ben.
And the junkyard dog goes around. Duncan Dayton with a spin. The race leader goes by, Johnny Herbert. He is enjoying a 19-second lead over Frank Wheeler at the moment.
And let's watch. See Duncan in the car and see what happened here to number 37. as he turns in. Boy, everything looks normal at this point. And the Racer Group car tagged him in the back end.
That car has been hit so many times today. Yesterday, by admission, it was John Field's fault, but today, they've been hit all over the shop. Andrew.
This is in the car, his head in his hands.
Hey, we're done.
Working on the front of this car, just at the front suspension, I can tell you, it's definitely broken. Certainly the steering control arm is broken. They're just having an observation of it now. They're not actually doing anything. And I'd say this car is going to go into retirement.
And look at James Weaver, he's in trouble.
James Weaver is, he's holding up his arm, waving people by, saying, all right, I've got a problem, be careful.
The 20 is now the 675 leader. That's Chris Dyson, the points leader, at a time when the Junkyard Dog, the Intersport car, was running third and picking up valuable championship points. Dyson responds, courtesy of the problems to the sister car. Wow, this final 15 minutes is action-packed.
Well, it looks like there's about 9 minutes left at this point. Johnny Herbert has about a 15-second lead that I last looked at, 18 seconds at this point. So Johnny Herbert continues to lead up front. But again, this is all coming back to the endurance of this track. That bump leading onto the front straight here, it is inexcusable. This is the worst we've ever seen. It really is a sad remnant of what the Miami Grand Prix used to be. It was such a prestigious race, and how they could let this go untended to. It's a bit of a mystery.
Quick update on the leaders in LMP and in 675. I just checked in with Chairman. I said, you have a reserve on the tank? And they said, yes. I said, how many laps can you go? I got an answer between 9 and 11 laps. So with 8 minutes left, they're not on reserve yet. They could be golden here. 675 got James Weaver stuck in third gear. He could struggle to hold on to that win today.
Well, remember a little while ago we heard about Weaver having the problems with temperature in the transmission, so maybe they were low on fluid, or again, maybe just the pounding from this track has taken a toll there. James wants to keep going around. That would guarantee him a second place in class. It would be great. Johnny, be careful.
Herbert has a 15-second lead over Biela. Meanwhile, back in GTS, it's Brabham versus Enger. And I said how fired up Enger was because he and Peter Cox were disqualified at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. ProDrive didn't feel that was valid, that there was nothing wrong. They gained no advantage by their air intake system. And Enger says, I can't believe it. Our teammates have come in late in the season and they're ahead of us. Brabham and Magnussen are ahead of us in the championship points. We desperately want to get this win back, and Enger can almost taste it now, Brian.
Well, the thing about it, though, Lee, is Brabham will stay ahead of him in the championship because the order is the two Ferraris will finish 1-2 on the podium. They will not take each other out unless there's a slip up by Brabham in front or the track gets wet and there's a mistake. Then he will finish exactly the way they run.
Tommy Treacy has
started. Turn your lights off. Started.
Whoa, Enger nearly hit him. Enger nearly came in contact with Tommy Treacy. Oh!
Wow, Tommy. Oh, no, and there's another contact.
As the rain sprinkles down here
Damn
on the
it,
streets
buddy.
of Miami.
It's real wet. Sorry.
That's Tommy Treacy calling into his crew saying, really wet and sorry.
Cal.
Well, James Weaver is in, and I'm not sure exactly what's going on here. They got wets out, they're going to wets here. And maybe it's just a call. James doesn't want to take any chances and just get this car to the finish. We understand he's still stuck in third gear, so he'll probably struggle to get out of here. But this is a lengthy stop. Doesn't look like they were prepared for this, but they are going to Goodyear wets all the way around.
All right. Obviously, back in GT land, Lucas Luer has moved back into the lead. The JMB car. Welcome back to Speed Channel's coverage of the Grand Prix Americas. We apologise for those technical problems. We believe that weather may have played a hand in that, but we're back. Glad to be back. And Frank Biela for Yost continues the chase. James Weaver still in pit lane. Less than 5 minutes to run here But I tell you what,
look at the battery.
The final stint has been incredible.
Once again, the starting problems are surfacing for this little Lola MG. That has really been the weak link on this car. But Johnny Herbert, what a job he and JJ have done today. Just magnificent driving. Johnny responded to the challenges Frank Biela, and right now he's holding a 26-second lead. Oh, the car is wiggling. Johnny, be careful.
Johnny's had plenty of experience on street circuits around the high-dollar streets of Monaco. Now he's here in downtown Miami and has been superb today. Look at how wet the track is there.
Very cautious.
This is dicey stuff.
It's really dicey stuff, Lee. It's starting to come down. I look up to the north. I can see the rain falling in sheets, and it's kind of heading this direction. The ProDrive Ferraris just came out with the windshield wipers on. This one is not over. You still got a mile to go on slicks.
And white flag, 1 to go, and the hometown team can taste victory. Johnny O'Connell and the Corvette boys aren't giving up. That car is back out on track. A day of mixed emotions for those boys. But Herbert and Leto and the ADT champion team, the gamble has paid off. They had that pit fire earlier, a very scary moment. But wow, they can add to the marvelous victory, the very first for champion at Road Atlanta, and then the one at Road America. And if you've just joined us again, we apologize for the technical difficulties experienced. But what a thrilling day it's been for the ADT champion Audi team. Yost valiantly fought back, but Biela was caught in traffic, and every time on the restart, the champion team, the ADT champion team, celebrate. Herbert and Leto win here in Miami. Again, apologies for the technical difficulties. But you join us just as Johnny Herbert's crossed the line. Victory number 3 for the ADT champion boys. The gamble paid off.
And they had to win it. This was the one race they come in and they all admitted right straight up front, if we don't win, our championship hopes are dead. This is going to push it on to Petit Le Mans. What a way to finish the season.
They take the fight to go. And the GTS battle has been thrilling today. Thomas Enger fought back. The Essex car is in the wall. There they go, the 2 ProDrive Ferraris. And history in the making here. The ProDrive Ferrari team goes 3 in a row. David Brabham wins his 3rd consecutive GTS class race. Welcome back to Miami. The view from above and the victory suite for the ADT champion team. Johnny Herbert, JJ Leto. Leto, a very strong opening stint. And then Johnny Herbert drove brilliantly in the late stages. Again, we apologize for the technical difficulties experienced. Let's take you back to the closing moments when Johnny Herbert, the Formula One veteran and one of the big stars of the American Le Mans Series, took his Audi R8 to victory. Went past Johnny O'Connell. The Corvette team said they were never going to give up. They continued on, but it was all ADT champion today. There was some speculation about whether they had enough fuel to go the distance, Bill, but they did. The answer in simple is yes.
Really a tremendous effort all the way around. JJ Leto, we saw give 100% in qualifying. He got the car all sideways coming around the fountain, never got out of the throttle. Just tremendous job. And Johnny, I think his response today has been astonishing. Even the last lap on these slippery conditions, 8 seconds a lap quicker than Frank Biela in 2nd place. Just remarkable.
The team from Pompano Beach right here in Florida, their base is not too far away. The rain was coming down, and that's the first time they've won pole and won the race. Sensational stuff for champion, and Johnny comes across the line victorious. Well done. Let's hear from them right now. Here's Calvin Fish.
With their 3rd win, and Johnny Herbert, you pulled one literally out of the fire today, mate. What a drive.
It literally was out of the fire.
and hit the frying pan.
You knew when you got in the car, you had 2 hours to go. Did you think there's any way you could make on fuel?
Well, obviously you hope and expect what we got, which is a lot of cautions, which is something that they've got to go your way, and luckily this year they did, and with a great partner here, he was on fire today.
He was. He did a great job, and JJ, you didn't need the anger management even. I was going to get close there at the end.
I tell you, the anger management is gone. It really works well, and it's just. I did the first 50 minutes, and Tony did the last almost 2 hours. So I really thought that we have to come in in the end and just get a splash and dash. But it was luckily we got some yellows, and it started to rain, and it was slowing down quite a lot. So the car is really empty. There's no fuel left.
You closed the gap certainly on Werner and Bieler, and Petit's a long one. Anything can happen there.
Yeah, it's still possible, we are now, 13 points behind, so that's a good number for me. I like the number 13, so maybe we get lucky there.
Boys, congratulations. Awesome drive today.
Thank you.
It certainly was, and the relief on their face. Let's take a look at the top 5, and while they had to wait a long time for victory, that is their second win in 3 races. Congratulations, champion. And well done too to Panos. That's their 5th podium of the year. That is record-setting stuff for that particular team. Let's hear now from our GTS winners. They're with Brian.
Well, Darren Turner and David Brabham. David, first of all, in the car for as long as you were, you've got to be exhausted.
Pretty beat, but when you know you've got victory in your sights, there's a good motivation to keep you going. So a great job by the ProDrive guys, and Darren obviously coming in and substituting for my mate Jan, done a fantastic job. The Michelin tyres, we ran them for a double stint basically, and they just hang on really well, so that was good. And also, if Hugh Murray's watching, I'm sorry I didn't get your tickets.
And talk about exhausted, what about the fuel? Wasn't it almost exhausted?
What do you mean?
Yeah, there's the secret. And Darren Turner, what a great job. We talked about the pressure that you had to be under, and to come in and do the job that you did. Maybe you get to drive a Ferrari again, huh?
Yeah, I hope so, yeah. It'd be good if I can come along and have another ride with David again. But yeah, he did such a great job with 2 hours in the car near enough, and to keep it going for that long, it's really good effort, so mega.
Well, ProDrive has put a team together that is substantial, and even when they have to reach for substitutes, they come up with winners, Lee.
And that's why they pick drivers the caliber of Darren Turner to do that job. Here's the top order in GTS. Ferrari 1-2, and Enger and Cox still have to wait for that victory. And well done to Olive Garden for picking up 3rd. Another podium to them, and mixed emotions for Corvettes. Let's have a look at the GTS points going into the final race of the year, the Petit Le Mans. We congratulate again Johnny O'Connell and Ron Fellows for securing the championship. Sensational stuff. Let's take a look at the 900 points as well going into our final round, and it's wide open. The margin was 18 points coming into this race. Now it is just 14. Exciting stuff. JJ Lehto is still in with a shot. Speed Channel's coverage of the Grand Prix Americas is brought to you by Porsche, for the pure sport of driving. Welcome back to Miami. The celebrations continue. Let's hear now from our GT class winners.
Sasha, your 20th victory in this ALMS, and your birthday tomorrow, and an extraordinary end too.
Yes, I must say we fought it for the whole race, and it was clear that we had to be patient, because with the traffic, with the track, and also with some raining in the end, it was clear it was very dangerous, and in the end we kept the car on the road, and our teammates didn't. I'm sorry for them, but that's the way that racing is, and we won, and I'm happy for my 20th win.
Congratulations, go celebrate.
675 results, and congratulations to Chris Dyson and Andy Wallace, yet another victory. That is their 4th of the year, and that consolidates Dyson's spot at the top. Cal?
Well, as you said, Lee, it is the 4th win for the number 20 machine, and Andy Wallace and Chris Dyson. This really helps you, Chris, in that championship battle.
Well, it certainly does, Calvin, and I said on Thursday night that this was going to be a fight for survival. We're rolling both cars on the truck. I'm very happy to finish 1-2. It's good for the points, good for Goodyear, and good for everybody at Dyson Racing, so I'm very happy.
Let's have a quick word here with Andy. Andy, a tough day out there. This racetrack is brutal. I mean, you've raced around the world. This has to be one of the toughest.
Well, it's an amazing track, really, because of all the traffic, but I really enjoyed myself. And as Chris says, fantastic for the team to do such a great job. Goodyear did a great job for us too.
There you go. It's all about having a 2-car team, and when James Weaver faltered a little bit there at the end, the 20 car was left to pick up the pieces. They did it well.
And there's Dad, Rob Dyson. Good to see Rob back at the track. And here's the overview of the 675 points. Duncan Dayton and John Field have got some work to do, and Chris Dyson looking good going into that final round. Bill, you're a Miami resident. Thoughts of your home race?
Well, I'd like to see the track be improved a little bit more next year. Let's see them smooth it out so it takes away a durability problem for the car. But I love street racing, and I always thought this was the North American version of Monte Carlo, and glad to see it back.
Well, as we mentioned many times throughout today, this has been the penultimate round of the 03 ALMS season. Petit Le Mans is coming up, and live coverage right here on your home of motorsport Speed Channel coming up October 18, and we go live from 11 in the morning Eastern time. Been a pretty interesting day here on the streets of Miami. Lots of collisions, lots of cautions, and even a fire. But it was the ADT Champion Team's day. The team from Pompano Beach celebrated victory on home soil, and what a wonderful day. Just quickly, you know those guys, they'll be thrilled.
There's going to be a great party tonight. I know that they're so looking forward to it because they had this huge block ahead. They had to beat Yost, and they did it today. On
behalf of Brian Till, Andrew Marriott, Calvin Fish, and Bill Adam, I'm Lee Diffie. There's been plenty to see here on the streets of Miami. Wonderful atmosphere, and we hope that you enjoyed it. We certainly know that those guys will, and we hope you can be with us from Petit Le Mans. See you then.